More on these stories, townhall.com.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds and you're overweight. Winner, winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you, with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So, yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou, because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds, too. Get a quote right now at 800-555-2085, 800-555-2085, or biglou.com.
Russia's latest assaults on Ukraine, targeting 9 cities with missiles and drones.
The strikes hit areas such as the capital Kyiv and caused civilian casualties. Odessa emergency official Victoria Zuravska said Russia carried out a large-scale attack on Odessa. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is due to visit Moldova, which reported drones breaching its airspace. The ongoing conflict has raised concerns among Russia's neighbors about a potential wider conflict. Russia's latest barrage comes as a Russian serviceman was killed by a car bomb in St. Petersburg, according to officials. It was the latest in a string of attacks targeting military personnel and others linked to the war in Ukraine. I'm Karen Shamas.
Congo has started vaccinating people against Ebola to fight the fastest-growing outbreak of the disease in history. 2,700 deaths reported so far. Townhall.com. While tablets and computers can be valuable learning tools for kids, the potential for their misuse is huge. It's something parents are advised to watch for.
Schools often provide these devices, and parents can struggle to keep kids focused at home. Built-in tools like Do Not Disturb on Apple and Android can help by muting notifications. Parents can also use screen time controls to limit app usage. Experts suggest teaching time management and encouraging offline activities like reading and sports. It's important for kids to take breaks and avoid multitasking to improve focus. Parents should guide children to monotask and create a quiet study environment. Keith Peters reporting.
All eyes on Jackson Hole, Wyoming. That's where later today Federal Reserve Chair Kevin Warsh will deliver a speech at the Fed's annual economic symposium. Economists will be closely watching for any hints of future Fed policy. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
Trouble concentrating or recalling information is frustrating, embarrassing, and kills productivity. Nutrition company Healthy Cell created Focus and Recall to boost your brain power. Unlike other supplements that don't work, Focus and Recall is not a pill. It's a gel you swallow with ultra-absorption of science-backed ingredients to help you immediately sharpen focus, concentrate longer, and strengthen recall. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order. Risk-free. Love it or your money back. Guaranteed. Healthycell.com. Code Godzilla.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's the top news of the day.
People are out there saying, oh, the Iranians are never going to live by it. But let me tell you something. President Trump is going to bomb them again if they screw around.
Hopefully they live up to it. And if not, the pounding's coming. We're going to do it again and again and again.
The Cats and Cosby Show, weekdays 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the stations of the John Fredericks Media Network.
Trump is the toughest president we ever had.
Well, he's definitely the best bomber.
August 17th. Big changes are coming to the Tom Carson staying put at noon to 3. Michael Patrick Leahy moves to 3 o'clock, followed by Cats and Cosby at 5. America's new boss for conservative talk is the John Fredericks Media Network.
Wagering at its finest, playing at the highest levels, under the highest stakes for more than a decade. This is the world past the wire has conquered, bringing you uncompromised thoroughbred authority and elite track data that anchors the game. But the modern wagering landscape is expanding. Every sport, every line, every prop, and every high-leverage future, we decode the metrics across the entire board. From game day spreads to the explosive new frontier of prediction markets and event contracts, we give you intelligence to dominate the modern financial exchanges. Because in the end, it's a battle. You versus the house. You versus the other players. In this arena, we fight with you. We are your ultimate edge. Welcome to the Ultimate Wagering Network. Subscribe to Past the Wire TV and turn on notifications, because when the dust settles,
Nobody does it better. Saturday morning, 6 on the radio, 11 on JFMN.TV.
Well, happy Friday, everyone. We made it. This is the John Fredericks Media Network. I'm Dan Hobgood. Time for a look at, among other things, weather and sports. We'll start, as we always do, with where I am in the capital of the South, Richmond, Virginia, where the high today will be 85 degrees with some scattered storms this afternoon. A low of 68 tonight. Right now, the temperature is 71 degrees in the River City. Portland thumps the Squirrels at Carmax Park last night, 11-2. So much for Grateful Dead night. Maybe they should have honored Jerry Goldsmith instead of Jerry Garcia. First pitch tonight, 7:05 for the two teams. Moving on to Washington, D.C., the high there will be 87 this afternoon with possible storms. A low tonight of 67, still with possible storms. Right now, the temperature in the nation's capital, a network high, 75 degrees. The Nats get revenge against the Rockies yesterday, 7-1. They'll host the Marlins next. At 6:45 tonight will be the first pitch. Commanders at Ravens, 6 p.m. tonight on NFL Network in preseason action. In Atlanta, your high today will be 89 with possible storms. A low of 70 tonight, storms likely. Right now, the temperature in Georgia, 73 degrees. The Braves outlast the Dodgers, 1-0 yesterday. The Braves will host the traveling Rockies next. First pitch tonight, 7:15 p.m. Falcons at Dolphins in NFL preseason action at 7 p.m. tonight. Nashville, your high today will be 89, a low of 65 tonight. Right now, the temperature in Middle Tennessee, 71 degrees. Bears at Titans tomorrow night at 6 p.m. on the NFL Network. Philadelphia, you're looking at a high this afternoon of 82 degrees with possible storms. A low of 66 tonight with the lingering chance of possible storms. Right now, the temperature in eastern Pennsylvania, 70 degrees. Phils at Angels tonight at a very specific first pitch of 9:38 p.m. Bengals at Eagles tonight at 8 p.m. on CBS. Morgantown, shout out to all yins in wild and wonderful West Virginia. A high today of 83, a low tonight of 56. Right now, the temperature in West Virginia, 65 degrees. And last but certainly not least, unless we're talking at the new stadium in Buffalo last night, My Yinzers in Pittsburgh, a high today of 81 degrees, a low tonight of 55. Right now, the temperature in western Pennsylvania, 64 degrees. As alluded to, the Steelers fall to the Bills 28-27 following a fourth quarter collapse that reminded me of watching the Pirates this year. Speaking of watching the Pirates, the Buccos at Cards for the weekend. First pitch tonight, 8:15 p.m. JF should be in a good mood today. His Astros were 5-1 winners over none other than the Yankees last night. And the ACC joins the other Power 4 conferences in banning pro athletes from returning to college athletics in football and basketball. Bringing you today's Weather and Sports Update is the Godzilla Wins radio show for the best insight, analysis, and picks. Watch and listen to Godzilla Wins tomorrow morning, as a matter of fact, from 9 to 11, all across the John Fredericks Media Network. Plus, to get John's daily sports picks, go to GodzillaWins.com. Once again, that's GodzillaWins.com. Okay, folks, get those active minds ready for a few words to the wise. And I hope the music lasts for all this. This is a little longer report than usual. Yesterday, I talked about the need to get rid of so-called public property if we are to come into compliance with our pro-rights, pro-freedom law, not to mention objective ethics. Today, we get to the second major political mainstay that I've teased ultimately needs to be eliminated for us to be compliant with our individualist principles. I wonder if anybody has guessed what I'm going to say here. I included a hint of sorts yesterday when I said that for as long as government forces Peter to pay Paul at the point of a gun, that would be one of the problems with public property. And for weeks, I've been wondering if anybody out there is thinking, wait a minute, Hobgood. For all your talk about property rights this, property rights that, how can anybody have a right to his property if government can tax it? Well, that's an apt question. And the answer is that a person in government can't both have a right to his property. And we already know what the facts of reality have to say about who has the rightful claim to the property and why. So yes, the other political mainstay that we ultimately should vanquish is none other than taxation itself. For those of you who say that that'd never work, I have two rebuttals, one shorter and one longer. First and most principled, work for whom? How is the status quo working for the individual with rights? Rhetorical question, of course, as the status quo isn't working for the individual with rights. And remember from our critique of the judiciary that the query, what's in the best interest of society, is a completely invalid one. Contrary to what Star Trek II tried to tell us, arbitrarily, without any argument and support, the needs of the one are what truly matter. I tell you, Star Trek II is such an overrated movie, but I digress. Here's what else I would say in response to those who think that a taxless society could never work. Remember that here in America, the predominant source of taxation, federal income tax, didn't even exist until nearly 150 years after July 4th, 1776. Somehow, this didn't prevent the country from managing, in record time, to become the most thoroughly prosperous nation that the world had ever known. The cost of government simply to defend individual rights would be a minuscule fraction of the current price tag. Given this, as well as the prospect for lawlessness absent a justice system, most people would gladly reserve a penny or so on the dollar to fund a government, just as they willfully pay for other forms of insurance. For those not as enlightened who wouldn't pay an equitable share on their honor, additional incentive would be needed. And in today's era of credit scores, background checks, etc., imagining how accountability could be built into the system shouldn't be too terribly difficult. So although somebody wouldn't be subject to criminal prosecution if he chose not to support the government, the alternative in the form of a proverbial scarlet letter would hardly be favorable. The moral of the story here, once more, is that the free market can serve as a powerful ally of justice. Again, just ask Kevin Spacey, Casey Anthony, the ghost of O.J. Simpson et al. And to repeat, in America, as presently constituted, we're talking about what ultimately should happen, not something that we can snap our fingers and make happen tomorrow. Why not? Well, short of a full reset of a national divorce in a new country, sweeping political reform won't and can't come overnight. Like heroin addicts who would die if they tried to quit using the substance cold turkey, we've been forced into the current paradigm, into dependence on the ultimately lethal drug of statism. Completely abandoning it all of a sudden would be counterproductively devastating. Accordingly, in America, we'll need to be weaned off of our forced dependence on government. That is how we become compliant with individual rights and in turn promote freedom. Getting rid of taxation isn't the first step, but rather one of the last, if not the outright last. Maybe I can do an upcoming report on how I think that voluntary government financing would operate if folks are clamoring for at least some more specificity. Next up, though, as I alluded to how much less the cost of government would be simply to defend individual rights, I'd like to talk about the valid functions of government and why a government is necessary for them. In the meantime, you can catch up on all these reports by going to the John Fredericks Media Network's socials or by following me on Facebook. All of the Dan Hobgood reports are located there in reverse chronological order. Until next time, this has been Dan Hobgood for the John Fredericks Media Network. Outside the Box with the Ox is next, followed by The John Fredericks Show. Stay tuned, everyone.
The Forward Independence Party of Minnesota. An NPR story covers how a dozen or so people on this year's ballot banded together in this effort to break into a system where it's really not allowed. The party co-chair said, quote, "We are creating something that the people of Minnesota desperately need, a willingness to put the public interest ahead of the partisan interest." Ah, yes, November 3rd, 1998.
Thank you for renewing my faith that the American dream still lives. When all the experts were saying he can't win, no, that's not true. We can win. And we have won.
But that was a time when the Democrat and Republican candidates both insisted they wanted smaller governments and lower taxes. It was hard to discern a difference. So Jesse the Body wins with just over a third of the overall vote. Fast forward to today, it's impossible. Because thinking outside the box, they're telling us there's a home for politicians who don't have an opinion one way or another about spending an $18 billion surplus on bigger government, taxing Social Security, letting the governor be the king again for the next pandemic, allowing men and women's sports, boys and girls locker rooms, and public funding of sex changes for all 5-year-olds who want one.
When our children tell us who they are, it is our job as grown-ups to listen and to believe them.
If they do have an opinion on any of these, which it's impossible not to, regardless which way they go, they're painted into a corner having one political home and only one. Here outside the box with the Ox in the Eastern Time Zone and now in West Virginia on the John Fredericks Media Network.
John Fredericks.
It is the most egregious thing I've seen in a lifetime.
President Trump.
The whole thing is ridiculous.
When politics start getting wild,
they want to have every single thing that you don't want. Raise taxes, men and women's sports. They're going to open up their border.
Trump hits the speed dial.
Thank you for calling in on such short notice.
You came first, John.
Wake up with the John Fredericks Show weekday morning, 6 Eastern, 5 Central on JFMN.TV, the massive J-Fred radio network, and all across the socials.
You came first, John. Thank you very much, and you do a great job.
Right now, download the new WV Sports Nation app from the Apple Store or Google Play and get the entire Mountaineers sports world in the palm of your hand. Right now, get notified when new stories drop about your favorite Mountaineers teams and athletes. Download the WV Sports Nation app right now. Get updates on next-level Mountaineers like Weatherholt and Joe Mazzulla. All that and more right in your pocket right now. Download the new WV Sports Nation app from the Apple Store or Google Play. Download the app right now. Godzilla Wins, where you get the best insight and best information on how to win the most money ever.
Guess what? GodzillaWins.com. Let's talk more winners.
You heard the man. The all-new GodzillaWins.com is all about winners with fresh daily picks.
Let's talk more winners.
If you want it straight, you know where to go. He rolls like thunder, head to toe. John Fredericks Radio Network. Godzilla of truth, hear that roar. Godzilla of truth. John Fredericks Radio Network. He brings the facts and he brings more. Godzilla of truth. From the back rows to the wire, he talks that hot truth fire. No polished mask, no paper crown. He tells it plain, he lays it down. If you want it straight, you know where to go. He rolls like thunder, head to toe. John Fredericks Radio Network. Godzilla of truth, hear that roar. Godzilla of truth. John Fredericks Radio Network. He brings the facts and he brings more. Godzilla of truth.
Live from the studios of the John Fredericks Media Network, it's the John Fredericks Show. Grab yourself a cup of 1775 coffee, sit back, and get ready for the best 4 hours of talk in the universe. To be part of the show, Just call our toll-free number, 888-480-5646. And now, here's the Godzilla of Truth, the Oracle of the Deplorables, the one man Chuck Norris refused to throw down with, John Fredericks.
All right, welcome to the John Fredericks Media Network. I'm a temporary host, me and Dan.
Do not adjust your dial.
Show. We've hijacked the network, Dan. We've hijacked it. The phone lines are open. The number is 888-480-5646. If you guys want to be part of this show, I know you do. Why wouldn't you want to be? You wake up, Dan, it took me just a few minutes to do my hair, right?
Yeah.
I had to get ready because, I got to fill in for John. It's big shoes to fill. Right, but I was listening to your Hobgood report, which I absolutely love. But I especially love today's, right? Because I'm all about ending income tax. I'm all about ending taxes. I mean, what do we get for our money, Dan? What do we get for our money?
Certainly not the return on the dollar that we should. And this kind of goes hand in hand with what I was talking about yesterday with regard to that the phrase "good enough for government work." When you don't have to earn the money that you get, how do you expect service to be any good? That's why these businesses that succeed are so efficient, is because we got to earn every dollar that we get. If we don't, we're going to go out of business. And look at how many businesses that were once prosperous and successful are no longer even around.
Well, and I always tell this to people, go spend the day at the DMV.
Yeah, right.
You want to see or make a phone call to the IRS. See how friendly they are. See how prioritized any problem you have is. They're not very quick to help you. Usually are greeted with an angry person, and it's like, wait a minute. So at the DMV, you're sitting there. You're like cattle in a chute, right? They call your number, you go up, and somebody's just sitting on their rear end all day, and they're angry. Mm-hmm. What are you angry about? You're making good money, you barely do anything, and I never. It's the same thing with the turnpike workers. Well, now they're really angry.
Yeah.
All right, you want to bring on Dave, Arizona, line 1?
Yeah, let's get Dave on. Dave, you're with us.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
What's on your mind, Dave?
Well, I wanted to thank you, Dan, and Godzilla as well for the coverage on Tuesday. It was really good from Norman's office.
Oh, thanks so much.
Yeah,
go ahead.
We wanted a different result, but you know what? At the end of the day, John did the right thing and said, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and we'll support Lady G 2.0, because that's who Darlene is. She's Lady G 2.0.
Lindsey Graham in a wig.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and Carl and Dave,
or maybe
I got
just
some
a better
grief.
toupee. I don't know.
Carl and Dave, I got some grief for my opening monologue yesterday. I thought that was pretty gracious on my part. I wasn't trying to be bitter or shed crocodile tears over the result. It was really just to say that I thought that Norman was a really decent guy. He ran an upstanding campaign, but we got to get behind the nominee at this point. So
absolutely, the primaries are the culling process, right? We choose the best piece of wood out of the stack, and there's sometimes where our candidate doesn't win, but it doesn't matter then. It's a binary choice at this point. And we have to vote red. Remove every Democrat. Again, that's remove every Democrat. Vote red in November. Yeah, I wanted to compliment you guys. So Thank you so much.
Great call, Dave. We have to support the nominee, but I feel like, Dan, and we talked about this before, I feel like there's a little bit of a bitter taste left in people's mouths, because so much money goes behind the establishment's candidate, right? And they're not always going to be the best candidate. They might be the more controllable candidate, right? And I feel like sometimes people, and that's my fear about the midterms. Trying to be as optimistic as possible, and that's why I tune in to John's show, because he gives me that optimism, But in the back of my mind, I talk to a lot of people, right? Because I'm besides the radio show on the weekends and stuff, I still have a construction company with my son. And I talk to a lot of people, and there's a lot of, unfortunately, dissatisfied people out there. And I'm constantly telling them, look, man, you're never going to get everything you want, right? But you got to go out and vote. You got to get out, and I've said it in the chat, and, you got to get out and vote. You're not gonna always love everything. And you know what? The GOP, they're gonna choose the candidate, unfortunately, because money runs campaigns, Dan. It does. The more money you have, and it blows my mind. Yeah, it blows my mind. But the more money you have, and they dumped a lot of money. They dumped a lot of money behind Darlene Graham. They really did. They did. But you got to think, like John says, this country, it's hanging by a thread. And you cannot underestimate these communists. You cannot underestimate the communists and the Democrats' ability to be able to steal elections. And the media's goal in all of this is to demoralize the base, keep us home. And that's, John talks about fake polls. I don't believe any polls, Dan. I don't know about you. They seem all fake to me.
I don't know how they even get conducted these days. I mean, who's answering the phone at home? I just don't understand how the methodology works. This is not the 1990s anymore, pre-internet, pre-cell phones, or at least pre the proliferation of. Yeah,
it's through text. I get them all the time. By the way, tomorrow morning, 8:00, we'll have Mark Mitchell on. And yes, I know a lot of people don't like Mark Mitchell, but they loved him. They loved him in 2024. You know what?
Well, the key is that JF wanted us to make sure that we promoted tomorrow's show. So yes, the Killer Carl show on at 8 a.m. in the mornings on Saturdays, before Godzilla wins.
And you know what? It's great because we warm up right for John, and then we jump in the chat and we harass people. I love it. All right, let's get to Steve in Virginia, line 2. Hey, Steve, how you doing today, brother?
Doing great, Carl. Thanks for taking my call. I've really been enjoying Dan's reports every morning, and the last 2 days, I have to say there's a lot there to cover. But going back to 1913, when my maternal grandmother was born, her parents supported the 16th Amendment because they thought, hey, this is basically provided to everybody as a way of funding the government, but it was actually class warfare because 90% of the population didn't have income.
Correct.
Because the word income meant non-wage monies. And so people didn't have, that meant investments, and only rich people had investments. So, people who were earning money, they weren't going to be affected. And by the way, the 16th Amendment never passed constitutional muster either. So
that's also correct.
That's as bad as the 14th Amendment, which never passed either. So we this is why I talk about us being having been turned into a kleptocracy where we have government. There is no private property. If you need a permit to do something, that's a violation of your constitutional rights. If you have to pay rent, as in property taxes, to own anything, quote unquote own. Who's being owned? Are we land of the free and home of the brave?
Nope.
Well, great to put up with what's going on, but we're certainly not free. So, private property is a thing of the past. There's no way that you can get by with saying to the government, hey, I own this property. I'm not going to pay you rent, as in, property taxes on the things that I own, and see how long that, lasts for you.
Great call, Dan. That is the call of the day. Steve from Virginia.
Steve's great.
I love it.
And every time I go to write one of these things, I think, everybody's going to think this is a bridge too far. I'm amazed. Everybody's like, yes, we're with you. Yes, let's go.
100%. All right, we'll be back after this commercial break on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Ponder this. It's amazing how many of us choose to go about our daily life without recognizing others who cross our paths each day. Take, for example, your morning walk, run, or workout at the gym. As we encounter others, often we don't make eye contact, let alone smile or greet each other. Listening to music or a podcast with our earbuds is so much more preferable than having to greet others we encounter. As a result, people are becoming more and more disconnected from each other. So let's start a human connection trend. Here's an experiment for you to try. Put your phone and earbuds away for a day while in public. Try to engage others in your path with a simple smile and a kind hello. These simple gestures will become a powerful force in the world. A smile costs nothing, but can be a powerful tool to brighten the day for others. Let your smile be a light for all to see. It's a gesture of love from the Lord. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
This is Crom Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea. We got a wonderful email from one of our customers up east named Joe, and here's what he had to say. I started taking Soul Tea almost out of desperation with little hope because I was resigned to the futility that although I was up to taking 2 statins a day, high cholesterol was something I just had to learn to live with. In fact, when I turned 60, after taking a stress cardio test, my doctor called me on a Saturday, which of course is never a good sign, and told me that I was clogged more than 95% of the people my age. I had an angioplasty and a stent procedure done at that time. Today, my stubborn triglycerides are only 1/3 of what they had been before starting taking Soul Tea. My prescription statin dosage has shrunk from 60 milligrams to only 10 milligrams a day. My primary care doctor that I have had for many years still can't believe the results, and neither can I. Thank you, Soul Tea, for providing such a wonderful product. And folks, I want to invite you to take care of your heart also by going to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. Use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% discount on your initial shipment. Thanks so much.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
I guarantee they're going to be the most comfortable pillows you'll ever own. King size only $24.98, queen size only $19.98. Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, as low as $29.98. Lux Pier 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept. Now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. Plus, free shipping options available when you order today. So don't delay, order now.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
If you want to go after an athlete, one of my athletes, you go after one that doesn't do the right things. You don't downgrade him because he does everything right and may not play as well on Saturday, and you let us make that decision. That's why I don't read the newspaper, because it's garbage, and the editor that let it come out is garbage. attacking an amateur athlete for doing everything right. And then you want to write articles about guys that don't do things right and downgrade them, the ones that do make plays. Are you kidding me? Where are we at in society today? Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
Don't touch that dial. You've found your home of the truth.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
With the best analysis in America.
You can't handle the truth!
And now back to the John Fredericks Show.
All right, welcome back to the John Fredericks Media Network. We've got Dan, and we've hijacked the show. Me and Dan hijacked the show, but we've got John from New Jersey on line one. Hey, John, how you doing today? What's on your mind, brother?
Hey, Carl, how you doing, buddy? I really enjoy your show on Saturdays.
Thank you.
I got a couple things. First off, real quick with the Darlene Graham thing. That was, the Obama-Biden regime, because that's what it was. Biden wasn't running anything, had destroyed this country for a 4-year period. So everybody is a little bit still, I think, damaged goods from that. So with the Darlene Graham thing, Trump wanted her for a reason. She's a rubber stamp. I'm going to go with that. And, I hear everybody, that's the establishment pick. Since when did Donald Trump, the guy they've tried to murder on multiple occasions, ever become so, quote unquote, the establishment pick? I think everybody just needs to, take a step back, take a breather. Now, I work in a hospital, right? A local hospital. It took us a year and a half to figure out what color uniforms we were going to have. This guy's trying to right the ship. Now, I agree with you on so many different topics, Carl. So I share your frustrations in terms of, I think everybody wanted, including myself, things to happen immediately. The bottom line is things are happening everywhere now. And we're finally starting to see exactly what we wanted to see. Now, we have these midterms coming up, including myself. Everybody needs to put the nonsense and the complaining on the shelf till December, because we have to have a singular focus here. Mm-hmm. These people are insane. I mean, you guys are talking about the polling. The polling it's laughable. I think it's actually starting to work in our favor at this point because it's so ridiculous. Also, the media is completely out of control. So they're in full panic. I mean, they got Carney up in Canada now. I mean, the globalists are in full retreat. We're cutting off Iran. I mean, did things happen exactly the way we wanted them to? Of course not. They never did. But this guy's, he's trying to, I love that one analogy. He's literally trying to turn around an aircraft carrier. Well, and we're finally starting to see, a lot of things. The deportations are ramping up. Everything's actually starting to happen. Soros they're going after. You're seeing a different politician being arrested every other day. So let's just time travel back to 2020. Think of where you were in the feeling inside at that point, and then think of today. You want to even go near that feeling again in November. So the bottom line is, what John mentioned about the Darlene Graham thing, the most important thing was the fact that Trump got out those tier 4 or tier 1 voters.
Yep.
That was great news. You know what I mean? So I all the BS, it's all nonsense. I'm so locked in right now. And a lot of people are, I just ask anybody that basic question. Are you upset? Yeah, I'm upset. Are you not voting? No, of course I'm going to vote. There we go. The bottom line is let's get excited. We have a convention coming up And everybody, let's get back to 2024 mode. Talk to 10 people. Start making calls. Talk to everybody you can. We got to win these midterms.
100%, John. Yep, 100%. And another great call. I can tell John is taking Focus and Recall from Healthy Cell. Right here, I have it.
Ah, yes.
I can tell because he's always one of the best callers. Him and Steve, they've got to be taking Healthy Cell, Focus and Recall, and they're probably using REM sleep. And you can get it too. Go to healthycell.com/Godzilla. I have a box of them right over there. As a matter of fact, when I found out, Dan, after I got done doing my hair this morning, I'm like, I better take some of this Focus and Recall, right? Because I got to be on point. I got big shoes to fill, me and you. And, so I had to be on point. I love Healthy Cell. It's one of the best companies out there. And if you haven't tried this product yet, I guarantee you're going to absolutely love it 100%, right? That's the thing I love about John. Kind of like the advertisers for the Killer Carl show, the advertisers for the John Fredericks show. He brings you quality products that make a difference in your life at an affordable price. This is going to change your every day. It's going to change your every day. Let's go to Tim. Line 2, Orlando. Timbo, how you doing, brother?
Oh, doing good. It's the Carl Dan show. This is great.
Can I ask you a question real quick, Tim, because I know you follow these things?
Sure.
Lindsay Clancy. Have these people not lost their mind? Have you been following this?
With who?
The Lindsay,
the mother who killed her kids.
Oh yeah, I don't really follow those trials, those murder trials, because they're so bizarre, and I'm a grandfather. We've got a third grandchild on the way from
Congratulations,
the, we have two,
Tim.
and then the third on the way. So I really try not to follow those kind of trials. They're very sad. They're weird. The suspect of the husband came back and the house was quiet and the lady acted like nothing had happened. That's the bizarre part of this whole thing. So,
didn't she try to commit suicide by jumping out a window?
She did, but listen.
Yeah.
Women, they do. They go through the postpartum depression. My wife went through it.
I've been through it.
This woman had a nanny. She had a nanny.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have a nanny. I mean, raising kids, man, it's process. It's a process in action. It's learning on the job, man. You're in the fire. So raising kids. I mean, who has a nanny? I mean,
it's insane to me that they're just turning this woman into a almost like a folk hero. Like everybody that does something wrong, like that Mangione guy, they all turn into these heroes. And our society, that's the insane meter.
It's bizarre.
Right there. All right, Tim, I'll let you get to your
the women. The women that are coming after these, they want to marry these suspects in jail. It's weird. It's weird.
Very weird.
So, I was calling because I'm glad that you guys are having a Friday positive show. And I just want to give you an update about Minnesota. The young lady who started Feed the Children, who stole all the money, she got 40 years in prison. So there's a win there. That's a win.
You live and you lear.
Years. Yeah, 40 years in prison. Now, her two co-conspirators, they were sentenced yesterday, and each one got 4 years and another one got 3.9 years in jail, plus they have to pay restitution. Okay, they got to pay back the money that they paid. Now, that's a win. All right, that's a win because you can't steal. You can't steal. Okay, and stealing is against the law. So I'm grateful for that. We got two rogue judges, one in Wisconsin, one in Massachusetts, that has placed stop on the USPS not mailing out ballots to the states that haven't provided voter rolls to the feds yet for review. And all the government is going to do is review if the voter registration, the person who's registered, is a legal citizen or not.
You know, that's it.
Yeah. And that's
so.
that's
I mean,
what
that's
has to
fair.
happen.
Yeah, that's fair. But a federal judge in Massachusetts just stopped that. Now they're going to challenge it, and it'll probably go to the Supreme Court. But we cannot have illegal aliens. We cannot have non-citizens voting in our country because, for one reason, it's wrong, and the second reason is no other country in the world would allow it. You know?
That's the insanity of it. That we're lectured by the world, right? Open up your borders. But yet, go ahead.
Yeah.
Walk over to Mexico and see
Right.
what happens to you. You know?
Canada's a good example. I don't think you could get away with that going to Canada.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Mexico, you'd probably get there, and then the cartels would just kidnap you or whatever, hold you for ransom.
Yeah.
So,
but John was trying to say, John was asking for callers to call in and try to justify non-binary in this whole, 22 different versions of a human, that's out there other than a male or a female. What's the attraction to it? And I just think it's the insanity. I think there's just a level of insanity that we have to deal with now and we've been nice and we've been polite and we've been sitting in our corner of the Waffle House, drinking our coffee, eating our egg sandwich, and we're just saying, hey, don't tread on me. Don't bother me with this stuff, right? And it's overwhelming. At some point it's overwhelming.
well, I mean, I think that the whole obsession with drag time story hour and, the turning your kids into, transgenders, I think it's all about depopulation in many ways. I feel like it's about dividing the family. And I feel like a lot of these things, and we could say it's conspiracy theory, but I think a lot of these things are funded by China because they want to weaken us. They want to weaken us. They want us. Think about it. Think of the metrosexual. Remember that? That was like back in the 90s, and you see it. You see it on Fox News with Botox and the guys getting, manicures. You know what I mean? They're feminine. The men on Fox News are more feminine than some of the women. I mean, let's be honest. And, that's not a slam. If that's what you want to do, it's what you want to do. But I feel like a lot of this is just to weaken the American man.
No, yeah, Carl, China is laughing at us.
Of course.
Mean, the whole objective of this seems to be to weaken America, prepare America for becoming second rate and being overtaken in the world by globalist, communist, collectivist forces. That's the reorder things. That's the point of all this. But yeah, it's weird. I mean, the whole thing. It's just like you say, if you're an adult, you have a right to do what you want to do to and with your own body. I wouldn't recommend severing your sex organs, but if that's
why not?
It's just.
What are you doing this Sunday? Well,
funny you ask.
Funny you ask. I have a doctor's appointment.
Yeah,
I might regret this. But that's the thing. And we just sit back, right?
Well, in the medical industry, obviously, they have a vested interest in it. They get a lifelong patient if somebody goes this route. So yeah.
But we sit back and we surrender ourselves to this unknowingly many times because you know what? I've got my new car. I've got my job. Little Billy's in the basement. He's got the latest Xbox. He's happy. Meanwhile, mom's running off, worried about her career. So she's getting Botox and lip injections so that she can, compete with the younger females in the office. Dad's, working full time. Meanwhile, our kids, right, are no longer. Parents aren't engaged as much with their children these days. How many times do you go to like a restaurant, Dan, and there's like a 2-year-old with an iPad?
Yeah,
right.
It's
and
not uncommon.
I get it. It's you want to enjoy your meal. You want the kid to be distracted, but I just feel like parents are so. A lot of parents nowadays are so focused on their career, right, and keeping the things they have. That we become distracted and we live in our own little bubble. If it doesn't affect you, right? then who cares? You know what I mean? That's the mentality of people sometimes. They don't realize it. And I think President Trump, the one thing I think he did the most is wake up America to the corruption of politicians, to the corruption of just the way the government runs.
Sure. No, I say that anybody with half a brain should have been very grateful that he won in 2016 for two reasons. One, he has exposed the battle lines in Washington as not really between Republican and Democrat, but insider and outsider, establishment and non-establishment, swamp creature and non-swamp creature. And then two, he got the media to reveal that they are wolves in sheep's clothing once and for all. The sheep's clothing, any semblance of sheep's clothing that they once had is gone. We know that they are basically political operatives, that they're rooters, not reporters, that they are folks who are trying to drive the news and drive an agenda rather than simply convey the news.
100%. And you know what? That's the sad part, right? You still have your people that vote, right? In like the retirement homes, right? And they go in and these people are getting pumped with this fake news. Like John was talking about the situation with the kids in Pennsylvania passing away from, what was it? Smallpox.
Oh, measles. Yeah. And you suggested an interesting theory there that if this was something that happened, it could have been within the Amish community, which Amish community doesn't even bother to get vaccinated for anything.
And that happens a lot. Like maybe not measles, but other things. It happens a lot.
Yeah.
It's
bound to happen based on how they're going about things.
And they're trying to make it. They're trying to play it out. This is how disgusting Shapiro is.
It's an epidemic. It's a pandemic.
Yeah. They're trying to turn a tragedy, right? What was it? Rob Emanuel never let a good
tragedy go to waste.
Yeah, Shapiro's following the same principle as that, like all Democrats, because most of them are just scumbags. Let's be honest, And he's taken this and he's trying to make it seem like, oh, look, RFK is convincing people in Pennsylvania not to get vaccinated, and they're playing it on the local news. Matter of fact, it was on this morning again, right? No corrections. They're not reporting that the CDC had reached out to Pennsylvania and tried to get, any type of correspondence records. They have nothing. But the media is not reporting that. They're just going with Shapiro's narrative and pushing it. And there you go. The media is complacent. And I don't even know how they keep their broadcast license.
And of course, the media gets its character from academia. The thing that I wonder about and worry about is, okay, how did we go from previous status quo to the extent that the media ever was neutral, to a place where we're teaching our future journalists of America that your job is to sway people rather than inform people. But that's what's happening in colleges. My mother was a college professor. Her department was right around the corner from the journalism department where she was a professor, and she observed this happening. And it was like, how did we get to where we are? And how what was the process of the frog in the boiler that just over time, and how much time did it take for us to get to this point where we're teaching our future journalists, your job is not to inform, your job is to tell people what they ought to think and what they ought to believe, but that's happening in journalism departments now.
I think it's been happening for a long time.
Yeah, I'm curious to when it started.
Is it the CIA linked up with CBS, NBC, and you know what I mean? And because if you look at it, dude, look at the way, say MS Now or whatever it's called,
right? Yeah,
or CNN.
NBC,
you have all these people from within the government cycling in and out of these media companies, right? Mm-hmm. You got Brennan, Clapper, You know, the that.
Well, I mean, once upon a time, certainly you had God. Who was the Washington Post editor during Watergate who'd worked at least in the Kennedy administration, if not the Kennedy and Johnson administrations. Oh gosh, Jason Robards played him in All the President's Men, won an Oscar. But yeah, that, I mean, to your point, they were all folks who were part of political administrations who were legitimately operatives, and yeah, they end up in the quote unquote news, and I think a lot of people are talking about Watergate again these days, and how if reporting had actually been neutral at the time, that Watergate would have been a story that was in the news and then out of the news pretty quickly. That was something that was basically a story targeted to take down President Nixon.
Obviously, and the media ran with it, you know, and they crammed it down your throat. And, you know, that's the disturbing part. And that's what I love about, you know, the John Fredericks Media Network, you know, is that you're getting truth, right? And everybody has a different perspective. You've got John in the morning. You've got Wendy Bell, which I'm loving, right? And then you got Carson after that. And then Michael Patrick Leahy. The lineup on John Fredericks' radio show, I think, is like the best out there. The best out there, because you're getting perspective, you're getting truth, right? And that's why everybody has to stay tuned in all day, Dan. Why wouldn't you?
Yep. And then of course, don't just stop Monday through Friday. Tune into us Saturday morning from 8 to 9 on the Killer Carl Show.
That's right. You get a completely different perspective sometimes on my show, right? Because I love debate. I love differing opinions, you know, and it's always a great show. And Dan, thanks for hanging with me, man.
Hey, thanks for hanging with me. Yeah, this I was going to be here one way or the other. You're the one.
Well, you know,
whom I may have imposed upon a little bit. Hey, Carl, come on, join me here for the first hour of the show. I think John is coming up at 7 a.m. I think he's giving us kudos, saying we did an okay job. So that's good.
All right, I'll take that.
We'll try to pick it up. We'll try to pick it up from here at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Right?
Absolutely. Stay tuned. The great John Fredericks is back in the captain's chair. God bless. See you in the chat.
WJFN, Goochland, Bonaire, Chester, 100.5, 107.7, 92.7 FM, AM 820, and WJFB, Portsmouth, AM 1650.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Crews struggling to rescue survivors of the disaster along the Nepal-Tibet border are warned to remain alert for the possibility of more flooding. Catastrophic flooding claimed almost 540 lives, close to 1,000 people still missing, dozens of Americans among them. A federal judge has temporarily paused President Trump's effort to standardize how states handle mail-in ballots. Sets stage for another legal fight before the midterm.
The 14-day hold follows new administrative rules requiring states to provide voter lists and use standardized ballot envelopes before the Postal Service delivers mail ballots. The 14-day hold follows new administrative rules requiring states to provide voter lists and use standardized ballot envelopes before the Postal Service delivers mail ballots. Trump supporters say the changes promote election security, consistency, and public confidence. Opponents argue states lack time to comply. The U.S. Supreme Court may ultimately decide this case. Ken Lorman reporting.
President Trump says it's clear the U.S. has the upper hand in the disputed Strait of Hormuz.
The strait is open. We're taking a lot of boats. Millions and millions of barrels of oil are coming out of the strait every day. Other countries recognize that. Every once in a while they shoot some, they put some shots out. We totally cleared the Strait of, we have the best minesweepers in the world, the underwater minesweepers.
The Trump team reportedly close to clinching a massive oil deal with Venezuela. Axios reports it would involve access to Venezuelan oil fields, boasting 90 billion barrels of proven reserves. The Lindsay Clancy murder case gone to the jury, deliberations underway in Massachusetts. Clancy is charged with first-degree murder in the deaths of her 3 young children. Townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
Grand jury has found the Florida governor's office misappropriated millions in taxpayer funds, but no one is charged with a crime.
A Florida grand jury has found that Republican Governor Ron DeSantis' administration misappropriated $10 million in taxpayer money. It diverted to a charity run by his wife and was later used for political purposes. But the grand jury says it does not have enough information to file criminal charges against any individual. DeSantis does not dispute the legitimacy of the secret grand jury report, but he insists that no laws were broken and promises consequences for whomever leaked the sealed document. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Norway has a new king. Crown Prince Haakon has ascended to the throne following the death of his father, King Harald. The role of Norwegian monarch largely symbolic, and power lies with an elected parliament. News and analysis, townhall.com. President Trump's now former chief spokeswoman has left the building.
Caroline Leavitt leaving the podium at the White House with some advice for the next press secretary who will work for President Trump.
I will give my advice to whomever assumes the job. I think it's most important in this job to understand that President Trump is his own best spokesperson. And we joke, Stephen Chung and me, that he is the true communications director and press secretary here at the White House.
For now, Leavitt plans to stay home to care for her 4-month-old baby daughter and 2-year-old son. Laura Winters reporting.
Amid the ongoing trade dust-up with Canada, President Trump says he is renaming Lake Ontario Lake America. The executive order's been signed, updating the body of water's official name, at least on the American side of the border. The Canadians are not convinced. They say the lake's name will remain what it has been for hundreds of years. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
John Fredericks, America's Godzilla of Truth. He knows state politics have impact everywhere, so now he goes national at 9, hitting all the hot spots that are about to blow. Monday, it's the Pennsylvania Posse. Tuesday, get the Texas Truth. Wednesday, the Peach Crew dishes Georgia. Thursday, it's the D.C. Dispatch. And Friday, the Virginia Gang is in the studio. Every day at 9, John lets the spotlight shine. It's local, it's national, it's everything. The John Fredericks Show, weekday morning, 6 Eastern, 5 Central, right here.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well rested in the morning.
I guarantee they're going to be the most comfortable pillows you'll ever own. King size only $24.98. Queen size only $19.98. Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, as low as $29.98. Lux Pier 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept. Now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. Plus, free shipping options available when you order today. So don't delay, order now.
The Trump administration has brought positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system. If we really want to make America healthy again, well, that starts at home. And that's where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from the Wellness Company doctors all the time, and you know their products are the gold standard for keeping you and your family safe and healthy, giving you the opportunity to make sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their prescription medical kits. Additionally, the Wellness Company offers a variety of products, from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more. Make America healthy again starts at home. Do your part and protect the health of you and your family. Live a healthier, longer, and more satisfying life. Go to twc.health/Godzilla and order. That's twc.health/Godzilla. Use promo code Godzilla to save 10% today.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendment, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
Live from the studios of the John Fredericks Media Network, it's The John Fredericks Show. Grab yourself a cup of 1775 coffee, sit back, and get ready for the best 4 hours of talk in the universe. To be part of the show, just call our toll-free number, 888-480-5646. And now, here's the Godzilla of Truth, the Oracle of the Deplorables, the man you want on that wall, the man you need on that wall, John Fredericks.
Well, it's great to have you. Thanks, Carl, for filling in for me for the first hour. And Dan, great job. Super enjoyed it. Don't forget, Killer Carl rocks and rolls Saturday at 8 a.m. And I am your Godzilla of the Truth in America, your Oracle of the Deplorables. Great to have you with us. Great to be in D.C., the cleanest, safest, most beautiful city in America. We should be shouting this from the rooftops. We're not, but I tell you what, change is coming, baby. Change is coming. Anyway, it's good to have you with us, and the change is not the Democrats taking over the House, because I'm still bullish on us winning. Now, we had an unfortunate judge ruling yesterday, which we expected. This was expected, that another whacked libtard judge, which we seem to get these all over the place, was going to say, hey, you know what, we really can't do this mail ballot thing, and, you know, it's going to, voters got to get ballots. No. Okay, this is going to SCOTUS, okay? This is going to the Supreme Court, and it's got to go there. They have to have an emergency ruling. It's got to be before these ballots get out, and I think it's going to be a favorable ruling. I really do. I don't see how Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett is going to vote with the blue states. I just don't see it. They already ruled one time. I know it was on standing, but I just don't see it. This is, you can tell the federal post office what to do. This is a federal agency. So I think they're on a very slippery slope here. The Democrats, I think this is going to rule in our favor. And I think that's the end of them. If you, like me, believe that they can't win without cheating, they're done. If you believe that, you know, elections are fair and the mail-in ballots are fine and We can go to homeless people and old people's homes, and we can mail them to Starbucks, and people can put them in drop boxes with no chain of custody, and it's all fair and the most secure elections ever. Then, you have a different perspective, which is the Democrats are cheating, and you want them to cheat because that's the only way they can win. You get these mail-out ballots where it only goes to people that are legitimate, eligible, registered voters that are U.S. citizens. They can't win because they don't have the votes. Every one of these polls are doing, ladies and gentlemen, is fake. It's all fake polls. It's the silly season. It's all nonsense. And I'm telling you, we're coming back in some of these states that you're not going to hear anywhere except here. We're competitive in Minnesota. We have a shot to win New Hampshire. I mean, one fake poll had Sununu ahead, and that poll's fake for them. So, we got a lot of things going on here. So we're excited about these midterms. We're excited about the future. I'm excited about gaining seats in the Senate. I'm excited about the election. And look, it's all going to start, folks. It's all going to start with one thing, and that is the convention in Dallas. And we're going there, gangbusters. Ann and I are going. We got a suite at the Fairmont. We're going to have hospitality suites. We've got a box that we paid for in the press box. We're on Media Row in the tent outside. Can't get inside at 5 a.m. It's actually 4 we have to get in there. I'm not even sure what time I'll do my show there. I might have to get Leahy to switch with me in the morning. Dan will probably do that. Dan, remind me of that today. We should get Leahy to switch. And I should take his afternoon slot, right? That's probably the best thing for us to do. So remind me of that, and we'll call him and ask him that a little later on today. That probably makes sense because I'm not going to get up at 3 a.m. So you can forget that, or 2:30 or something. So forget that because we're on Central Time. Bad enough I got to do that next week in Nashville. So all good. 888-480-JOHN. I'm a little fired up though today because these, and she gave. The thing is with this ruling, she gave it 14 days to cure. Oh, she gave it 14 days, which means they expect the Supreme Court here to weigh in. So she didn't make this a permanent ruling yet overruled. She gave 14 days. Obama judge, and I don't have a quarrel with what she did. She's not going to make this decision. This decision is going to be made by SCOTUS, and if they vote 5-4 to allow these mail-out ballots to go to anybody with no verification, we don't have a conservative court. To me, of any litmus test, this is going to be it. And I don't know how these two people would live this down. And of course, they vote Amy Coney Barrett and John New York Times Roberts. They vote as a block, so they're basically controlling the court. They collude allegedly by me. This is my allegation. Can't prove it. She certainly feels that way to the average Joe. So we'll see what happens. And Carl brought up REM sleep before. Carl, thank you for doing that. I took this. I was out last night. Hey, by the way, Colleen Dick, our long-standing program director, been with us 15 years, came to D.C. yesterday. She came to the Bible Museum and came by our world headquarters here in D.C. It was great to see Colleen. Dan, come up here, and we took her to dinner. We had a great time. She met Sammy the cat. Cat loved her. So, you come in our home and Sammy likes you, you're in. Sammy loved her to death. So, he was like, she was petting him and he was like purring. So it was a good thing. She's a cat person. He knows cat people, no doubt about it. But, so I was in a little late last night, saw the end of the Astro game. They beat the Yankees 2-3. I couldn't turn it off. Get to bed 10 p.m. That's why I was a little late today. Took my REM sleep, fell asleep at 10:15, I think, somewhere in there, 10:05. Got up 5 o'clock, 7 hours. I mean, never even got up to go to the bathroom. This thing is, and you jump out of bed, you get such a great night's sleep. And it's about quality of life. So I ask everybody, it's so simple. Just go to healthycell.com/Godzilla. And I know you've been putting it off, but it is really a game changer for you. And it's about quality of life. Healthycell.com
promo code Godzilla, and that's going to save you, the promo code is going to save you 20% right off the bat. So these are very affordable, but it's really going to change your attitude when you get that good night's sleep and you're not, tossing and turning all night and you get in that deep sleep. It's really going to make a difference. And Dan Hobgood, he doesn't sleep very well. And I told Dan to buy it, put in promo code Godzilla. Dan, get your 20% off. I mean, it's simple as that.
Yeah, I'm going to look into doing that this weekend, as a matter
You really
of fact.
should. I mean, it's for the money, and you save the 20%. I mean, these are about, comes out to about, I think with the savings, maybe about 40 cents a day or something. I mean, it's just, 40, 50 cents a day, and you're going to sleep better and feel better. Like, who wouldn't do that? Right?
Exactly.
Think about what you're going to spend 50 cents a day on, dude. I mean, or $1 a day, whatever it is. I mean, think about what you're going to spend a dollar a day on, like garbage, right? Like a box, a bag of Cheez-Its or whatever we bought at the Exxon station going to the airport that we shared the bag of Cheez-Its. Like
we had Cheez-Its and Cheetos, I think, from
Chex Mix.
Yeah, Chex.
That was our breakfast. 888 for Breakfast of Champions. 888-480 John.
Exactly.
Well, the Chex Mix has, checks in it. So that's like a breakfast, right? That's like a
Yeah, it's exactly
kind of a breakfast. Chex Mix.
Yeah. Yes. I agree.
But I like the cheese. It's better. Let's get to cheese is my weakness. I eat really healthy, but and I don't eat bread, things that Dan knows. I eat a lot, but I eat healthy. But my weakness is cheese. I mean, you put that cheese platter out like Marcy does and her husband, I mean, forget about it. I mean,
we went to Firehouse Subs Tuesday evening before headed to the Norman event. And yeah, I was like, you went to Firehouse and you ordered a salad?
But you
did.
Yeah, I did. It was a good salad.
Yeah.
It was
I believe it. Yeah, everything at
Firehouse
Firehouse
salad.
is good.
They put ham in it and turkey. It was great. But
what they call it, a hook and ladder salad.
Yeah, it's great. And the oil and vinegar on the side, which is what I had. That was great. And
So
extra
good.
cheese. So I was just raring to go. All right, let's get to the phony lines. We got Mel in Saratoga Springs. Mel, it looks like they're gonna get a raise for.
John, I'll have to call you back. No
worries.
No.
Go ahead. Tim in Hopewell, Virginia. Go ahead.
Hey, John, how are you doing this morning?
Never better. I'm fired up
I'm
today.
the one-
You know I am fired up today. I'm fired up because
Why
I know
is
we're
that?
gonna win. Because we're gonna win.
Yeah.
All the naysayers,
Hey,
all the whiners, all the bitchers,
That's
all
right.
the complainers.
Yep.
Trump didn't do this fast enough. Trump didn't deport enough people fast enough. Trump didn't do this. Trump didn't do that. There's not enough deportations. There's no arrests. Trump didn't do this. The guy has done an amazing job. You look what this guy's accomplished in 18 months. It is unbelievable. Yeah, is it perfect? No.
Well, off the sub. Yes,
What
sir.
he's
Off the subject
accomplished
real quick.
is mind-boggling. I mean, look what he's done here in Washington, D.C. The Renaissance going on here. Anyway, go ahead. I'm fired up. Go ahead.
I'm the one you mentioned yesterday about the mail-in ballots. I was the one that kept calling in about it for the last 3 or 4 months.
You were the
in
one?
The original case. Yes, sir.
That is
I was.
great reporting.
I was the one.
Great reporting, Tim. Thank you.
So here's the thing. When they had the first case, Watson versus RNC, that case was on the counting the ballots after Election Day. However, not part of the case, but part of the discussion several justices brought up was exactly the situation we have now about mail-in ballots to the post office. 3 of the justices commented that the post office, FedEx, third-party carriers, they're not certified election officials. They said when Congress wrote the law back in 2020 with COVID, they didn't put a provision in there for those entities to be certified election officials. So they kind of touched on it in the first case, and now it's coming back around. So that was their stance on it. And like Justice Alito said, I can go to my homeowners association, collect 100 ballots, I drop them in the mailbox. Where's the verification? How do we check those? And that's what he said.
Well, it's going to come down to Amy Coney Barrett and John Roberts. So, and the first ruling they had, they really punted. It was like, standing, it's too early, we don't have the order.
But it's going to come down to these two people. These two people are going to determine the outcome of this election. You understand that, Tim? Amy.
Yes. Well, I'm not
Amy
sure.
Phony Barrett.
Amy Phony Barrett.
Amy Phony Barrett and John Roberts are going to determine who wins the midterms. I mean, let's just call it out for what it is. They're going to determine it. They vote as a block. So it's not going to be 5-4 our way. It's either 6-3 or 5-4 Blue States way. Based on what you've read, based on what you've seen, how do you think they'll rule?
Well, I think they're going to rule in favor because the first case was really on the states running and holding the elections. I think they were correct on that. Not sure they punted, but this one here directly deals with a federal entity. Correct. States control they control when the elections take place. They control all that. Okay. Let's look at early voting. Early voting, for example. Okay. States control that. They have election officials there. Okay. They're with you. You have any questions, issues? You go to curbside voting. There's election officials there. They take the ballot. They have, for example, my sister curb votes because she's disabled. Well, we go out and vote. She takes the ballot. She votes, hands the election official. I have to walk back with the election officials with them in their presence, and then we put it in the machine. You see the difference? So, yes, states do control that at the state level, but they also have elections officials that are there monitoring it, controlling it, whereas mail-in ballots, there's none of that.
So you believe they'll rule 6-3 to give the post office the jurisdiction to implement the policy they rolled out under Trump's executive order?
They kind of tipped their hand. The Congress didn't put a provision in the law back in 2020 with COVID. They basically said they just went ahead and rushed it through, and they didn't allow for the provision. Because, again, if you stop and think about it, where's the verification process when you send it through the mail? And the other thing is, okay, when it gets to Supreme Court, these people that are challenging it, what's their challenge? Show their harm. I mean, what is an illegal alien going to come up and say, I didn't get the vote? You didn't send me a ballot to my fake address? I mean, what's going to be their harm? Show the harm. That's the whole crux of this issue.
No, look, I hope you're right. It is impossible for us to predict what Amy Phony Barrett and John Roberts is going to do. I mean, they've disappointed us time and again. And the stakes here are the election. The stakes here are controlling the House of Representatives. Those are the stakes. Kind of bigger than anything else they've ruled on. And, we're supposed to have a conservative court. But this is really, I mean, when it comes down to it, you're going to have basically two judges determine the outcome of this election. Two judges who are going to vote as a team because that's what they do. And this is what it's going to come down to. And the Democrats are going berserk because they know they can't win without stealing the election. They cannot win. They have concocted and built an entire voting, fake vote, mail-out ballot vote infrastructure to win in these districts. And it is all based on mailing out ballots as they see fit to whomever they want, and then collecting them and putting them in boxes. Like I said, ballots in boxes. There's no ideology. There's no philosophy. There's no debates. You got 45 days of early voting. The whole thing's a comedy act, right? And it's meant to steal elections from the American people. And either the Supreme Court is going to go with that or they're not. And it comes down to two people, both of them untrustworthy, one of them a complete and utter twit, and that's Amy Phony Barrett. So we'll see what happens. If I had to guess, if I had to bet on, what is it, Kalshi or Polymarket or something, I'd bet 6-3 we win, but I wouldn't bet a lot. Of course, I don't do that for obvious reasons. If I want to make a bet, I go to, my kiosk here a block away and, bet a football game. So I don't do the predictive markets. But if I was, I'd bet 6-3, but I wouldn't bet a lot. And somebody can look it up for me and say, do they even have a line on that? Would be interesting to see where the money is on that now. That would be very interesting to see that. But Tim, yeah, you're the guy, and thanks. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. 888-480, John, you want to weigh in? 888-480-5646. And I do want to thank Tim for his gumshoe reporting, because he was the first one to call this out. And Mike texted in and says, Mike from Virginia says, phony Barrett is so afraid of the left, it's not going to be in our favor. At what point does Trump say F the court like Andrew Jackson did? What issue does he save the card for? Look, I don't know, but you got to follow the rule of law. And I don't agree with Andrew Jackson did either. I mean, you either have a rule of law here or you don't, or then you have chaos and anarchy. So I get what you're saying, Mike. But Amy Phony Barrett is going to do whatever Roberts does. This is not going to be 5-4 us. Every vote now, just every single vote, 6-3 us or 5-4 them. 6-3 us or 5-4 them. I had a whole big column on this about a month ago. You can find it either TrumpNationNews.com, or you can go to my website, my newsletter there. I think it was on DC Dispatch. Go to DC Dispatch now. But I had a whole column on this about a month ago that I went into great detail with how these people have joined together and they basically collude. And they always vote as a block. And you could say, well, the conservatives, all three of the conservatives voted as a block, the three liberals voted as a block. Yeah, that's different. These are the two swing voters. Why isn't there ever a 5-4 vote we win? Why is it always 6-3 we win or 5-4 we lose? Ask yourself that. Riddle me that. So I don't know. But, here we are. We're at the point now in the country where two justices, actually one justice, Roberts, is going to decide. Roberts is going to decide because Amy Phony Barrett will do whatever he wants. So Roberts is going to decide who controls the House, whether cheating is allowed. And here's the other problem. Once they rule, if they rule on this favorably, it'll get worse, because then they're basically said states can mail out ballots to anybody they want, and the post office has to comply. So now we can just mail them out to anybody. There are no laws. This is why you understand this decision is magnanimous, because it's not only what they've done, it's what they're going to do. Because SCOTUS will give them the opportunity to cheat beyond what they've done now. If SCOTUS rules in their favor, what's to stop? Pick a state with Democrats, New York, to say, well, anybody that's on our list, we're mailing out a live ballot to. We just mail them out to everybody, and we're paying for it. So everybody gets a ballot. Who's to stop them? There's no law. The laws haven't even made. The post office has no jurisdiction. They have to mail the ballots. Everybody's going to get a ballot, registered or not. You dead, you're an empty lot, doesn't matter. You get a ballot, like 2020. And in 2020, you could find a ballot on the counter at a Starbucks. I kid you not, at a Dunkin' Donuts. They were all over the place. They just mailed them out. They were mailing them out to apartments where they don't even have boxes, where they were putting them in a stack on the counter with people's names on it. You just picked 15 of them up. This is how Biden won. And by the way, whatever happened to those 83 million votes he had? Never to be seen from again? Unbelievable. 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646. A lot of nonsense going on. Hey, make a quick announcement. If you're listening to me on the radio in Atlanta on AM 1690, our network will no longer be on that station as of midnight, September 1. So you're going to get a whole different company's programming. We have nothing to do with it. We have entered into a lease agreement with another company as our company in Atlanta, as our radio station has been sold, and it's pending FCC approval. If you want our network and you want us and you want to keep tuning in, you're not going to get us on AM 1690 in Atlanta. If you have the app, that's fine. If you go to Listen Live, that's fine. Go to johnfredericksradio.com. Go to johnfredericksradio.com. Download the free app. Do it now, because I'm not going to be able to reach you after August 31st. It's gone. So download that app now. If you want the TV app, you can download that too. App Store, Google Play, jfmn.tv, jfmn.tv. You, my friends, are on the John Fredericks Media Network. Speaking of fake ballots, we've got a representative coming up from New York. Keep it right here.
Ponder this. Most people want to have a good day every day. In order to do this, we must start our day with gratitude and keep an attitude of gratitude throughout the day. I offer you my recipe for having a great day and a joyful life. First, start each day being grateful that the Lord has given you another day to serve Him. Roll yourself out of bed, get on your knees, and say a morning prayer of thanksgiving. Ask the Lord to help you throughout the day to do whatever His will is for you. Next, thank God for the little things that make your day better. I thank Him immensely for my morning coffee and for my legs that allow me to take a morning walk. I pray for those who cannot walk because of age, injury, or disability. Throughout the rest of the day, I am grateful for the people God has placed in my life. I thank Him for those who love me, and I pray especially for those who do not love me. Find ways in your day to thank God continually and offer prayers for all those the good Lord has placed in your daily path. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Wagering at its finest, playing at the highest levels, under the highest stakes for more than a decade. This is the world Past the Wire has conquered, bringing you uncompromised thoroughbred authority and elite track data that anchors the game. But the modern wagering landscape is expanding. Every sport, every line, every prop, and every high-leverage future, we decode the metrics across the entire board. From game day spreads to the explosive new frontier of prediction markets and event contracts, we give you intelligence to dominate the modern financial exchanges. Because in the end, it's a battle. You versus the house. You versus the other players. In this arena, we fight with you. We are your ultimate edge. Welcome to the Ultimate Wagering Network. Subscribe to Past the Wire TV and turn on notifications, because when the dust settles,
Nobody does it better. Saturday morning, 6 on the radio, 11 on JFMN.TV.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
And they're off. This summer, the Thunder returns to Colonial Downs Racetrack. Live thoroughbred racing June 25th through September 7th. Feel the excitement. Hear the roar of the crowd. Experience Virginia's premier horse racing destination every Thursday through Sunday all summer long. Bring the whole family for Family Fun Sundays, packed with activities for all ages. Parking? Free. General admission? Free. Memories? Priceless. Make Colonial Downs Racetrack your new summer fun time tradition. Get tickets and race day info now at colonialdowns.com.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
Don't touch that dial. You've found your home of the truth.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
With the best analysis in America.
You can't handle
handle the truth.
And now back to the John Fredericks Show.
You're on the John Fredericks Media Network, and I am your Godzilla of the Truth in America, your Oracle of the Deplorables. Thanks for being with us, as always. Great to have you with us, and great to see old ball coach there. We're waiting for Robert Ort. Hopefully we'll see him in a couple of minutes. Meantime, I tell you what, you got only 2 more weeks of Colonial Downs. Racing today, it's on Thursday, it's on Friday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We only got 2 more weeks now. We got an extra day on Monday, September 7th, Labor Day. So you want to check it out. If you're in the area, you definitely want to check out and go to my favorite place, Colonial Downs. Go to colonialdowns.com. That's colonialdowns.com. Live racing. Bring the family, bring the friends. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, post time 12:30 p.m., especially on Sunday. You bring the kids. It's so much fun when the kids go there. You're really going to enjoy it. I do all the time. So check this out. It's great for the family, great food, great fun, win money, have fun. Can't say enough fun things about it. Most beautiful racetrack in America, especially in the summer with the turf, the smells, everything is fabulous. Your family's going to love it. You get right up close to the horses. More information, go to colonialdowns.com. That's colonialdowns.com. And I tell you what, if you want to bring your family there, you get grandstand seats. They're very inexpensive. Just go to colonialdowns.com. But look, if you just want to hang out, no problem either, right? They got great food there. Admission always free, parking always free, plenty of parking. And it's just a great outing for your family. You're really going to enjoy it. So just go to colonialdowns.com. Phone lines. Mel in Saratoga Springs, New York. Mel, go ahead.
Yes, good morning, John. I'm sorry earlier, but I was busy in the stall.
It's okay.
The guy was telling me about the horses that he should have bet money he could have made.
No problem. Hey, dude, anyway. I get it, bud. I get it. Go ahead. Caroline
Levitt, she's leaving as a press secretary. And my ethnicity, John, I'm an American who happens to be black. And I think it would be very smart if President Trump would put somebody in there to show up Joe Biden's press secretary, that crazy brush, Jean-Pierre, whatever the hell her name was. I think he should replace her with Larry Elders, because Larry will show America that black folks do have some intelligence, intellectual capability. And that would show her. And I think Larry will rip apart, very politely, rip apart the press and put them in their place and show Californians, because Larry, I believe, he was looking to run. He did run for governor of California, but this time, I think it would cement his position to show that Gavin Newsom, he cannot compete with this guy. Like, he got into that debate. Larry Elder would tear him apart and show Black America and white America both that black folks do have intelligent capability. That's what I want to say to you this morning, John. That you ought to replace it with Larry Elder. Yes.
I have let's see what happens, right? I mean, Larry is a good guy. We carry him in some of our markets. I think Pittsburgh and stuff, Philadelphia. I'm not really sure, but we carry him at 6 p.m. where we can't clear Levin. So I like Larry, and I think he'd be great. But we'll see what happens. I think at the end of the day, this decision is not going to be made, I don't believe, until after the midterms.
I'm going to give you another day off.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be after. Okay, Mel, thank you. We got to go. Let's get Senator Ort to call in by phone. We got internet issues. You want to get him on the line there, Dan? Coming up, we've got New York Senate Minority Leader Robert Ort, and later on we will get New Jersey Senator Michael Testa. Let's get them both. But I want to talk about Arch Beaver Alpin, who is the Buc-ee's CEO. Do we have Senator Ort on there, Dan? Are you working on it? Okay,
working on the phone with his comms team right now.
Okay, let me set the stage here so that we can save time. Let me just set the stage. So, as the communist influence continues to grow in blue states, anybody ever been to a Buc-ee's? You ever been to a Buc-ee's?
right? You ever been there? You're driving somewhere. They start having signs like, what, 50 miles out? Bucky's coming up. Bucky's coming up. You ever been to a Bucky's? Bucky's is an amazing place. It's an amazing place because everything is there. They got food. It's like everything you could imagine is at a Bucky's. That's why they're so fun. Plus, they're clean. I mean, they're known for unbelievable cleanliness. The bathrooms sparkle. I mean, that's what they're known for. The food is fantastic. They got everything there. I mean, it's a part truck stop, part restaurant, part pack up, part get all your supplies, part get crazy stuff, part get, a bobblehead. It's all there. If you've never been to a Bucky's, it's just an amazing place. And they've done very, very well. And when they come into an area, it's like a big deal. And as you're driving down the interstate, one of the most brilliant things they did was almost like the old shaving cream ads, I think, where the billboards would be progressive, that starting like 60 miles out or 80 miles out, there'll be billboard signs saying, hey, Bucky's coming up in 80 miles. Bucky's coming up in 60 miles. Bucky's coming up. You're almost there. Just another 30 miles. Well, they buy all these billboards. So you pass up everything else, trying to hold it in or not buy anything until you get to a Bucky's because it's so cool. Well, let me get he's on now. Senate Minority Leader, New York State, Republican State Senator Robert Ortt. Senator, thanks for being with us.
Hey, John, good morning. Sorry about my technical difficulties, but good to be with you.
No problem, Robert. Thanks for calling in, and we'll get your number and stay in contact. I was just outlining the Bucky story. So their CEO, Arch Beaver Alpin, obviously his middle name is Beaver, no doubt about that. That's what they call him. Well, he says he's done. I think this is a brilliant move. He's done even considering expanding in states that don't appreciate his business, and he only wants to work with business-friendly states. And Alpin stated, life's too short to try to build in places that people don't appreciate what you're bringing. This is a growing trend as more and more companies like mine, right? I just sold my station in Atlanta, bought another one in Tennessee. Why did I do that? I don't want to be in Atlanta anymore. They don't want me. They want me in Tennessee. Why should I do business in states that don't want me? How does that make sense? Senator, how's this going to affect New York State? What's going to happen to Bucky's there?
Well, I mean, what's going to happen is what's been happening for a very long time, right? This New York State, first of all, has been antagonistic to businesses for a long time. I've been in the state Senate for 12 years, and I've been minority leader, Republican leader for 6. I can tell you that Democratic governors like Andrew Cuomo and Kathy Hochul, and since 2019, we've been under one-party Democrat rule. They have been very, and this includes, by the way, big business, businesses in New York City, farmers, small businesses across the state. There is an attitude that if you're successful and you make money, well, you're just going to want to be in New York, right? You're just going to want to be in New York because there's so many people and it's such a big market and there's a lot of money, which is true, that you're just going to want to be here. They're operating from a very sort of arrogant and I would say outdated mindset, which, maybe 30 years ago, depending on what your business was, you didn't have a choice. You had to be in certain places, right? But today, businesses are mobile. People are mobile. You can be in Tennessee just as well as you can be in Atlanta. And I think business owners, what you see on the progressive left, they sort of said, well, we want certain businesses that align with our ethos or align with our philosophy. So not surprisingly, you're seeing conservative folks say, well, you know what? That's the case. I'm going to put my business where it aligns with my philosophy, where my customers want me there, where the state leadership wants me there. And I think you're going to see more of that. And it's going to be bad for places like New York, I'm sad to say. Specifically, it's going to be bad, John, for like where I represent. I represent a district up in western New York, around Buffalo, Niagara County, Orleans County. It's very rural, small cities, sort of really much more like the Midwest than the East Coast. And that's where a lot of these policies and the anti-business attitude and sort of the arrogance that a lot of the far left has towards business, that's where I'm gonna feel it a lot more than probably people in Midtown Manhattan.
You know what? I think you guys are onto something, and I'm so glad, Senator Ort, that you've pointed this out and you're willing to spread this in the media, because we need more of this. I mean, I just did it. Bucky's is doing it. I live in Washington, D.C. By the way, no diss on Buffalo, but the most beautiful, cleanest, safest city now in America, bar none, is right here in the district where I
Sure.
my home. And this is what President Trump has done. But here's what they're doing. So our city government is controlled by the far radical communist left. They have this movement called Free DC, which is nonsense. Free it from what? I mean, I'm an elected official here. Like, free it from what? Like, you want more crime, garbage, rats, filth, squalor, and drugs? I mean, what are you freeing it from? But this is the insanity you got. So now what they're doing, this Free DC group, which is a communist front organization, is going to businesses with their sign, Free DC. And they're telling businesses here in the district, if you don't put the sign up in your window, we're going to tell everybody to not shop your store. We're going to boycott
That's right.
your store, whether it's a cleaners, whether it's a liquor store, whether it's, the store I go with the kiosk to bet the baseball game at MGM, whatever it may be, right? They're going to boycott it, the bodega. So it's like the mafia now. Now they're the mafia, right? You either put our sign in, or we're going to tell everybody to boycott your store. I mean, Republicans don't do this.
No. Philosophically, there is something someone could do, like a sociological study on this. This is very much something of the left, and I would say the new left, the more progressive left. Maybe it's younger generation. Maybe it's a product of social media for them. I don't know, but it is absolutely conservatives now. If a business maybe leans conservative or promotes certain things, maybe I would go there. But the truth is, I don't often think about what the political beliefs of the business owner. If I'm shopping somewhere or going somewhere, I'm concerned about the quality of food, the quality of the product. Do they treat me nicely? If those things usually check out, I don't really ever think much more beyond that. But the left, it's you need to get in line. You need to put up our sign. You need to espouse these things. Or if you don't, we're not just not going to shop here. We're going to actually try to make sure that no one else wants to shop here. We're going to bully you. We're going to try to coerce you. We're going to use boycotts on social media to bring you into line or to put you out of business.
Right.
That's the other side of that, right? To put you out of business. And that is, not only is it, like mafia tactics, it's also very reminiscent of fascist and communist tactics. And it's ironic, the very things they always say that they're protecting against, right? We're trying to save democracy. I always find it interesting when you're trying to save democracy by doing things that are very, very undemocratic or very, very unlike what we've had in this country for our 250 glorious years, which is to demand that businesses fall in line with your political philosophy or get the hell out. That is un-American, but that is absolutely what the radical left, which is now, I guess, the main left, the DSA, that's what you're seeing not only in D.C., but you're seeing it in a lot. And it really centers, I think, a little bit on President Trump, right? They just hate him so much that anybody, he's a president of the United States, 3 times elected, I would say, but certainly twice he served as president of the United States, 45, 47. And there are those on the left who can't, if they find out any business owner voted for him, supports him, even is empathetic towards some of his policies, they will target that person and try to put them out of business or bring them into line. That is their mentality.
We're with Senator Robert Ort, state senator outside of Buffalo, minority leader, New York State legislature Republican. I know you're a student of history. You go back to Germany, what was it, 1938, 1937, right? So the party in power would put up a star on a storefront. And the signal for that star was not to shop there and to put the Jewish-owned business out of business. I mean, that was Nazism. That was fascism. And we all know what happened with that.
Right.
This is just history. Right? We're not making any political statement. You open up the history book. Here's what happened. Tell me they're not doing the same thing in my town, in my city right now. Tell me the difference.
There's no difference, right? Tactically, it's the same tactic. And by the way, the important thing I think for people to realize is it started with just the star, which was a strong suggestion to other Germans that maybe you shouldn't shop there. It was also a suggestion that if you did shop there, maybe we would take an interest in you, Mr. German, or Mr. Maybe not a Jewish person, but if you're shopping in this store after the star has been put up, maybe we're going to start looking into you. And then eventually that no longer became a suggestion, right? Eventually it ultimately led to actual violence against those businesses and those Jewish families. And of course that metastasized into something even far worse. So these things don't always start the way people remember. They start smaller, but it is quintessentially un-American. But again, you're going to get a response. And so now you have conservative businesses who are going to say, well, look, I'm just going to go then somewhere where I'm not going to get these threats, where I'm not going to get, these sort of activist, progressive communist types who are going to come into my store and try to boycott me. I want to go to a state where I'm welcomed, where I can be successful, where I can live the American dream, and where I'm appreciated and where I'm not going to deal with this. And you tend to deal with this, unfortunately, in, New York City, Los Angeles, D.C., probably Baltimore. I'm sure any large city these days, there are these activist groups who are trying to chase out businesses, who are trying to destroy the America that you and I and so many other people love and fight for every day. And there's tactically zero difference to what you just talked about and what is going on in D.C. And keep in mind, when you told me D.C., safest, cleanest city in America, you and I both know that 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, nobody could have ever said that with a straight face. Nobody. The only reason that's the case is because of what President Trump has done in Washington, D.C. as president with the National Guard and, with in other ways. And when he's not president and if there's a Democratic president in the future, I have little doubt it will return to the state that it was for many, many decades of my lifetime.
Senator Orton, you nailed it. I mean, when I first got here, I was here, Trump 1, Trump 2. Trump 1, I lived in Eastern Market, which is more towards the Capitol. But I went home on the weekends. We still had our home in Virginia, so I'd come up on Monday, go back on Friday. So you didn't really think about being a resident here, although you were here all week. When we came the second time in November 24, after Biden, this was the biggest crap hole you could imagine. And my wife was like, honey, I can't live here. You'll have to come back on the weekends. I'm going back to Pittsburgh. I cannot live here. This is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. It's gotten worse. I'm out. See you on the weekends again. Okay, it is what it is. 18 months later, you know what she told me the other day? If another Republican wins, I could retire here. Now, how do you do that in 18 months? From I won't live here, I'm going home, see you on the weekends, to I could retire here if we get another Republican, knowing that if a Democrat wins, soon as the lease is up, we're gone, because it'll turn back into the squalor and the filth and the garbage and the tents and the needles and the drugs and the crime and the panhandlers and everything else they have in a New York minute. Speaking of New York, senator.
Yeah.
You guys are funding Mandami. You got he's holding Kathy Hochul hostage. She's a hostage of Mayor Mandami. What are you guys doing about it?
The only thing we're going to be able to do about it is like Bruce Blakeman. I mean, that's the only thing. There's not some secret magic sauce. Democrats have strong majorities in the legislature that have been voted in by and we can spend a whole show talking about the various election laws that New York State has passed, that Democrats have passed, gerrymandering of congressional maps and things of that nature. But Bruce Blakeman is running for governor. He is the Nassau County executive, by the way, a county of 110,000 more Democrats, and he's won twice. This is the only way. Mamdani's not up for election, obviously, for several years in the city. So the only way to check the mayor and to check this far left. I mean, we had a DSA member, not Zoran Mamdani, but a fellow traveler, Emily Gallagher. You may have seen this. She's a member of the assembly. She literally said all what I'm going to say at a press conference. She basically said that people have in some cases, a biological need to steal, to shoplift, to take things. She was defending theft. I know you can look it up. This is the insanity. So Zoran Mamdani is the most high profile. Obviously, he's the mayor of New York City. And we could, again, spend a long time talking about him. But there are many others like him in the state legislature. And the fastest, most immediate way to check that here in New York is to elect Bruce Blakeman governor. He is really gaining momentum because Kathy Hochul is such a disaster.
Do we have a shot? Does he have a shot there?
And
does he have a shot?
Oh, yes, he does. Yes, he does, John. He has a very good shot, and people listening to your show should know we have a chance to elect a Republican governor here in New York.
Listen, I'm out of time. I know you're busy. We were a little late getting you on. Is there any way you can stay through the break for a couple more minutes, or do you have to go?
No, I'd be happy to.
Great conversation. We're going to take calls, and I'm also going to, when you get back, I'm going to ask you what's going on with the Buffalo Bills Stadium and that debacle you got going out there where nobody can buy a ticket. Because I just put a press release out in D.C. demanding 10,000 tickets for $15 each for D.C. residents and their families per game, and now they're fighting me on that. So I want to get all your thoughts when I get back, and I like your bullish on Blakeman. Very nice. Okay, we're going to be right back here on the John Fredericks Media Network. Robert Orr's going to stay with us.
WJFN W224EB 92.7 FM Chester, W299DB 107.7 Barnair, 100.5 FM Goochland, and WJFB Portsmouth AM 1650.
This hour from Town Hall, I'm Rich Thomason. The death toll continues to rise. Hundreds of people are still unaccounted for along Nepal's border with Tibet, where a wall of water, a mountain of mud and debris wiped entire villages off the map.
Rescuers have pulled survivors from mud, and helicopters have lifted people to safety after flash floods hit Nepal and China. Nepal's Disaster Management Authority has reported over 500 deaths, while on the Chinese side, the toll is so far under 10. Hundreds of foreigners were in the area on work, trekking or pilgrimage projects. Authorities are now warning of more flooding from a new lake. Thousands have been evacuated and rescue operations continue. Families worldwide in over 30 countries are hoping for news of their missing loved ones. I'm Charles Dilladesma.
And President Trump is following developments.
Oh, it's terrible. No, and we've called Nepal and we've offered any help that they need. You know, we have a very good relationship with Nepal, and that was that was mud and water as a mixture. Nobody's ever seen anything quite like that. We're very powerful, strong, well-built buildings were wiped out like they were toothpicks.
About 90 Americans are among the missing in Nepal. The president's attempt to combat fraud in voting by mail has hit a brick wall, a federal judge again putting the effort on hold. Remember when President Trump renamed the Gulf of Mexico not that long ago? Well, he's done it again. This time it's Lake Ontario, which becomes Lake America. He signed an executive order which the Canadians say doesn't hold water with them. To them, that magnificent body of water remains Lake Ontario. Watching Wall Street this morning, stock futures narrowly mixed ahead of the opening bell. The Dow futures are up 22 points, NASDAQ futures down 88, and the S&P futures are off 2.5 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
I'm not one to say I told you so, but I switched to Pure Talk over a year ago, and ever since I've been telling people there's no better wireless company out there. Well, a few months ago, a massive survey was conducted. 123,000 people were asked to rate their wireless carrier in 4 categories: coverage, support, data, and overall value. Well, the results are in. Guess which wireless company was the only wireless company to get 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. 5 stars, every category. To celebrate, Pure Talk is offering the first 3 months of any plan for just $15 a month, including their top-tier unlimited plan. No contract, no commitment, just a very inexpensive way to test drive the only American wireless company with 5 stars in every category. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service will take it from there. Again, pound 250, micro. And yes, I told you so.
A Texas judge puts SEC's new eligibility rule on hold.
2 days after the Southeastern Conference passed a rule barring players from returning to the league from the pros, a Texas judge put that rule on hold in a case involving more than 40 players. It was the latest piece of news in what has turned into a breakneck week of legal wrangling over the NCAA's new 5-year eligibility rule. The rule does not apply to college players who exhausted their 4th year of eligibility last spring. Many are suing across the country for that 5th year. Ken Lorman reported.
In Iceland, they'll vote tomorrow on whether to restart talks about joining the European Union. The country's divided. Supporters of EU membership believe it offers protection as well as economic benefits. However, opponents argue that Iceland already enjoys European integration without losing control over its resources. News and analysis, townhall.com. This morning's science lesson.
El Niños are a cyclical natural warming of the Pacific Ocean around the equator, a rise of 0.5 degrees Celsius above normal. 2 degrees warmer is considered a very strong El Niño, and Columbia University's tracker puts the most recent figure at 2.7 degrees. Now, a study published in the journal Science finds El Niño events have intensified over the past 40 years. Measurements from coral in the Galapagos Islands shows them 16% stronger. El Niño's warmer waters warp weather patterns globally and increase extreme events, including heat waves, floods in some places, and droughts in others. I'm Ben Thomas.
All eyes on Jackson Hole, Wyoming. That's where later today, Federal Reserve Chair Kevin Warsh will deliver a speech. The Fed's annual economic symposium. Economists will be watching for any hints of future Fed policy. More on these stories, townhall.com.
The Trump administration has brought positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system. If we really want to make America healthy again, well, that starts at home. And that's where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from the Wellness Company doctors all the time, and you know their products are the gold standard for keeping you and your family safe and healthy, giving you the opportunity to make sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their prescription medical kits. Additionally, the Wellness Company offers a variety of products, from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more. Make America healthy again starts at home. Do your part and protect the health of you and your family. Live a healthier, longer, and more satisfying life. Go to twc.health/Godzilla and order. That's twc.health/Godzilla. Use promo code Godzilla to save 10% today.
Bad decisions limit future options. Make enough bad decisions and you will destroy your life. Listen to The Flatline with your host, Rick Hughes, every Sunday morning on the John Fredericks Radio Network. The Flatline describes a main line of resistance in your soul, built on God's Word. Join us every Sunday morning for 30 minutes of inspiration, motivation, and education, all without manipulation. That's The Flatline with Rick Hughes, heard here every Sunday at 8:30 a.m. on the John Fredericks Radio Network.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendment, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code GODZILLA for free activation.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
Godzilla Wins, where you get the best insight and best information on how to win the most money ever.
Guess what? GodzillaWins.com. Let's talk more winners.
You heard the man. The all-new GodzillaWins.com is all about winners, with fresh daily picks by J-Fred and your favorite players from the Godzilla Wins team. Get your hot takes from the show, then click the website for the dough. GodzillaWins.com.
GodzillaWins.com. Let's talk more winners.
Live from the studios of the John Fredericks Media Network, it's The John Fredericks Show. Grab yourself a cup of 1775 coffee, sit back, and get ready for the best 4 hours of talk in the universe. To be part of the show, just call our toll-free number, 888-480-5646. And now, here's the Godzilla of Truth, the Oracle of the Deplorables, the man who always says to lace them up and lace them tight, John Fredericks.
It's great to have you back on Godzilla. I am your Godzilla of the Truth in America, your Oracle of the Deplorables. Thanks for being with us. Don't forget, our live TV station has launched last week, jfmn.tv. We have live programming on TV, Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, and Apple TV. Also on our app from 6 a.m. Monday to Friday to 7 p.m. Monday to Friday, and on Saturday, 8 a.m. right till 3. So you get all that going on. And if you want to download our TV app, it is so easy. Just go, depending on your device, go to the App Store or Google Play, put in jfmn.tv, download the app, click it anytime between 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. You got live programming, all our shows live right to you on TV, or you can go to your smart TV and you can get it on Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, and Google TV. Now, we're very excited because he's holding over with us my new best friend, Robert Ort, Minority Senate Leader, New York, outside of Buffalo. And I spent a lot of time in Erie during the Trump campaign in 24. That was like the big area we had to win. So just right up the interstate from you guys. And also with me in studio, Rob Crilly. Rob Crilly does the daily column Secrets in the Washington Examiner, you can sign up for his daily email there. Just go to WashingtonExaminer.com/secrets, WashingtonExaminer.com/secrets. So, Senator, thanks for spending the time with us. We got a couple other things I want to go over, but before I forget, I want to talk about your new stadium in Buffalo, because we got the same thing going on here with Washington, where basically it's for the elites, corporate suites of tens and $50,000 a pop. You've got license fees or $10,000 a ticket. I mean, this thing is outrageous. It's supposed to be for the people. We're paying the taxes on it. And then your own stadium there has come under fire from your fans, saying that it's not even fan friendly, and the seats that they buy, they can't even. They seats suck. What is going on?
Well, so I think some of this now I'm gonna cut against maybe some of this. I think is obviously that there's no question. There's a couple of seats that have maybe sightline issues. I don't know if those. My understanding is everybody who bought a ticket was given like a virtual view of what they'd be looking at from their seat. Now, I don't own season tickets, so I don't know. I wasn't a part of that, so I don't know how accurate or inaccurate that was. But in the world of social media, you're going to get those. You're going to get that feedback. There's no question. The bigger issue, I think, or the bigger concern is the cost of, Buffalo's a very blue. One of the differences is, and I hear what's going on in Washington. Buffalo is a very blue collar place. It's a smaller market. We do not have sort of the wealth, the corporate infrastructure that you have in other cities. And we wear that with a badge of honor. The problem is I worry that there's going to be lifelong Bills fans, people, who are middle class or even lower middle class, who used to be able to afford to get to a game maybe a couple times or maybe even had seasons. Now you have PSLs, which you may be familiar with, and some of your listeners may. That's where you have to pay for the right to then buy season tickets, right? So you basically have a seat license. You pay a seat license fee. That's an additional one-time fee, and that could be thousands of dollars. Very often it is thousands of dollars. Then you have to buy the seasons on top of it. So a lot of it, though, is, and you're seeing it where you are, the NFL. Look, the NFL is very different today than it was when I was a kid, when you were a kid. It is far more corporate. It is far more, again, as you put it out, for the very wealthy and the elite. And I worry about people being priced out here in Western New York and in other places from being able to enjoy this game at the same time that then these owners and the NFL, by extension, are asking for public monies to build these stadiums. And so, I think you got to pick a lane. If it's going to be only for the elite few, then maybe nobody gets any public dollars. But if there's going to be public dollars, I do think there's got to be an effort, a greater effort, to ensure that all people of all walks of life and economic backgrounds can still attend these games and enjoy them.
I couldn't agree with you more. And Rob Crilly, who's here with me, did a piece on the proposal I have. I'm Ward 2 chairman here, and I demanded 10,000 tickets a game be set aside for families at $15 a piece, maximum of 4, can't buy multiple games, have to show ID at will call, can't resell them. Because I remember growing up, I mean, you're in New York. I grew up in New Jersey. I remember my father was a Jets. My father loved the Jets. I mean, he'd take me on the bus from Middlesex County. We'd go to the Port Authority. Then we go to the subway. You go to Shea Stadium. I mean, my father was a blue collar worker. He would save up. Maybe the tickets were $20 and then a couple hot dogs and a bus fare. He could probably get through it for $50. And, you went to the game and you walked into the stadium and you saw the green and, then he'd take me to a Giants game at Yankee Stadium. I mean, I couldn't do that now. If it was him, you wouldn't be able to do it. But like in DC, we spent $1 billion of taxpayer money and you can't go to a game. The families and the kids get locked out. Rob, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, well, I've got to say, as a Jets fan, I will just say maybe you can't afford the first game of the season, but by week 4 or 5, the ticket prices are crashed.
They start giving the tickets away.
But anyway, yeah. Look, I mean, I live a block from where the old RFK stadium was, where the new stadium will be. And the $1.1 billion that's being spent, and my understanding is it's on all the areas around it, the redevelopment, apartments. I'm hoping there'll be bars and restaurants, which will be fun for the local community. But what's it all for if I'm sitting in my backyard on game day listening to the roar of the crowd? I don't have a family, so it's not so bad. But if you're taking a couple of kids, if there's 4 of you, you're looking at $400 or $500 for a ticket.
You can't do it.
And the other thing is, I think as an outsider, I'm a soccer guy. When I think about that, our soccer teams back home, you cannot get away with that sort of move. The fan base will simply not allow it. The clubs are organic parts of the community that have been there for 100, 150 years. My team is 150 years old. You cannot do it. I think the way that the NFL and the billionaire owners treat the supporters, the people who keep this league going, is disgusting.
So, Robert, to your point with this PSL, right? So we own a station in Nashville. I'm a Titans fan, right? Like as bad as the Jets. In fact, we play each other opening week.
Yeah,
somebody has to win, right? That's the good news between our two. My team has won 3 games 2 years in a row. So they got this new stadium, same thing, $1.5 billion taxpayer money. We're in the middle of buying a second station there. So I go to Ann, our CEO, and I'm like, hey, we should get season tickets, go to some games. We got 2 stations there, so I call up and, well, you don't live in the area, but because you own a business, you're eligible. Okay, fine. Well, how much is it? Well, to get 2 tickets, you have to buy 2 PSLs. I'm like, what's a PSL? This is like 6 months ago. Personal license fee or something. Well, how much is that?
Yeah, personal seat license.
Personal PSL, $5,000 a piece. Well, what? So
yeah.
I pay $10,000 for the privilege to then spend $20,000
right.
for season tickets. Like, I can't afford that. Like, who would do that?
And you know what? That's the same price as the new private members club just around the corner. It's like joining a private club.
So what are you going to do about that, Senator, in Buffalo?
Well, I mean, the amazing thing is, what worries me is people, the stadium, the season tickets sold out, right? People spent this money, and I know this area. It's not like people, in my view, probably spent money they really didn't have, right? Because they want to be a part of this. The team is obviously good. If the Bills were not good, if the Bills did not have Josh Allen, and we weren't sort of contending for a championship each year the last several years, I don't know how they would have been able to do this, because I don't think in that situation the support would have been there, as Rob mentioned, and I think that the NFL really risks, this is something the NFL is going to have to really grapple with, I think, is that for every Los Angeles and SoFi Stadium, which was like $4 billion, for every stadium like that, there are places, I think the closest, Rob, that you would have here, the NFL, to a soccer is the Green Bay Packers, because they're essentially owned by a group of shareholders that live in Green Bay, that represent sort of the community of Green Bay. It's the only franchise that's modeled like that. Every other franchise is owned by a billionaire or a billionaire group. And so, there's 32 of them, and everybody wants to be one of that 32, because it is a club. It's just a club that increasingly people like, quite frankly, even like me and others, certainly it's going to be hard to be a part of. And so I think I like your idea, though, John, of sort of demanding that a certain amount of tickets be set aside for people of, at a certain price point or lower socioeconomic, disadvantage, people who, I don't want to say disadvantage, but people who otherwise maybe would want to go to a game, but they can't. But again, the rub for me becomes, look, if people want to pay, I see people pay crazy prices for stuff all the time that I'm just like, people say, and you see this with other events, with concerts. You saw it with the World Cup, where tickets were just astronomical. And you sit there and you think, is this really where we're at? Like, we're just going to make people fork over thousands of dollars? But of course, the other side of that is they do it. People do fork over thousands of dollars. And I think it gets to, though, for me, if you're going to ask for public dollars, hundreds of millions of public dollars, $1 billion public dollars, then I think you have an obligation. It's like, all right, well, then you got to make sure that some of these tickets are available for the quote unquote public and not just for the those who can afford it. I mean, the Bills home opener against Detroit is, I think, an average ticket. I think one ticket, I'm not kidding, I know it's over $400. It might be $500 or $600 for one ticket. So if you were, now again, I think this is secondary market, I think, but if you wanted to take you and your son, you're going to drop $1,200 or so just to get in the door.
Yes.
And then on concessions, you're looking at like almost a vacation, almost, $1,500 or something for you and your child, let alone a family of four. That's going to be, I think, really hard. And I don't know if it's going to come down or not, John, but right now in Western New York and Buffalo, those are really high prices. And it does worry me about fans, blue-collar fans, being able to go and enjoy a team that they love.
Especially when they're paying the taxes for it. I mean, my position here is
100%.
We forked over $1.4 billion. So, I get pushback from some people. Well, this is basically, you're trying to dictate what a company does. They have a right to do whatever they want. It's private enterprise. Well, then give me my $1.4 billion back, and then you can do whatever the hell you want. It's not only that, we have to build the infrastructure, we have to build the roads, we have to build the pipes, we have to build the sewerage, we have to build all this stuff. Well, give me back my money. And then I don't care what the hell you do, and then go pay for your own infrastructure. Go pay for that. Meantime, the taxpayers are paying for all this stuff, and they get shafted.
Yeah, and again, I think that becomes sort of the argument, because I think, yes, I like to think of myself as largely a free enterprise person, but if you're going to take hundreds of millions or billions of public dollars, I do think there should be some, at least, feeling of obligation to the broader public, right? So somebody paid for the stadium with their tax dollars, and then is told, if you want to go to that stadium, you got to fork over $1,000 or $600. That's sort of galling, and I think it rightfully is to a lot of people who do love to watch football and support their hometown team. So,
yeah, exactly. I got Rob Crilly here. Give us a little insight before we have to go with you. You said you believe Blakeman can win. Give us a little insight as to why you say that. Senator Robert Ortt with us.
Yeah.
Senate Minority Leader.
So there was
New York.
There was a recent poll, John, done by the Siena Research Group. Now, this is through a public institution here at a college in New York. So it's basically funded by the state of New York. Siena is no friend. Most Republicans would tell you any Siena poll you can sort of distrust a little bit, because they're usually oversampled Democrats. It's usually sort of the party line poll. And this poll was put out and had Bruce down by 10 with a margin of error, I think, of 3% or so. And a couple months ago, he was down by 20. So he's cut that lead in half. But again, that's Siena's poll. If they have him down by 10, my suspicion is he is in the single digits, which is better than where Lee Zeldin was 4 years ago at the same time. Now, Lee Zeldin, he's a friend, he's a great guy, and he ran a terrific campaign, and I wish he was the governor today. But he lost by, I think, 4% or so, about 200,000 votes or whatever it was, 300,000 votes was the margin. It was the closest the Republican had run in New York in probably since George Pataki won. And with that being said, we're looking to obviously use that blueprint that Lee did, only this time close it out. Well, Bruce is polling ahead of where Lee was at the same time 4 years ago. So that tells me that he can win. Her negatives, I've seen polling in my area, other parts of this. Her negatives, Kathy Hochul's negatives, are very high, very high. She's a much more known commodity today than she was 4 years ago. She's been a disaster, a disaster. And so we could do a week show on just how much of a disaster she has been in New York. Even Democrats would say give her low marks in a lot of polling. So her numbers, and I don't think there's much room to improve those. The only thing she's going to try to do is spend a lot of money going after Bruce Blakeman. But that all tells me he can win. Her numbers and where he is, he just has to, he has to kick this thing into further high gear and close it out. To use a football analogy, the game is won in the fourth quarter, right? You're in the game, but now you got to close it out. You got to put this thing in the W column, and so that's where I think he's focused on. But he can win because even in blue New York, where Zoran Mamdani is the mayor of New York City, outside of there, and even in New York City, there's a lot of folks, and I think Mamdani is going to play a big role in this. There's a lot of people that did not vote for Zoran Mamdani. They actually voted for Andrew Cuomo, someone who most people also didn't like, but they voted for him because they felt he was the lesser evil over Zoran Mamdani. And a lot of these folks in New York City and outside on Long Island, certainly people, Jewish voters, I think are saying we need a check on this DSA nonsense. We need a check on the mayor. And the only way to do that, it's not going to be Kathy Hochul. She's courting his support. The only way to do that is by electing a Republican governor. And so I really do think that Mamdani and the DSA and the rise of this anti-American, anti-Western mayor, I think could drive Democrats to vote for Bruce Blakeman as a check on Zoran Mamdani. Her numbers are terrible. The state's economic numbers are terrible. We need to change a direction, and his polling tells me that he can get this done. And so I want people out there to know that we have a chance to elect a Republican governor here in New York, and I think send a shockwave and a signal across the whole country.
What do you think, Rob?
I mean, I think the polling has been all over the place, hasn't it? And midterms are always a problem. And I think Robert's absolutely right that a lot of the polling we're seeing at the moment is getting distorted towards the Democrats. They are the active, energetic ones. They're the ones who immediately respond to a text message poll or an online poll. So if the gap is 10 points, I think he's absolutely right. It's probably clear. I still think it's a hard one to win, but I think it could be much tighter than people have thought. Yeah.
So, listen, I got to get Blakeman on my show. I know McLaughlin's his pollster. It's written right up on that board. See that? Bruce Blakeman right up there on the whiteboard.
It's right there.
His name's there, but I haven't called him, so I got to get on that. But let's take Robert. Your people like you, so we got to get somebody wants to. We have 5 people on hold. I'm going to take one. They want to talk to Robert Ortt. Let's get to Rob in New York. Rob, you're on with Robert Ortt, Senate Minority Leader in your home state. Go ahead, Rob.
Minority Leader Ortt, how are you? I'm down here suffering in Shelley Mayor's district, so a little down.
I'm very sorry for you, Rob. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, and she's trying to push through that mandating. That's another thing a lot of people don't realize. She's trying to push through forcing people to pay a tax if they don't get long-term care insurance. Now, long-term care insurance is important, but we've been down that road before. We're forcing people with Obamacare.
That's right.
It's something I know, John, it's specific to New York. But anyway, I just hope you get Bruce Blakeman to get the upstate area. I mean, we know him downstate because he's all over the news, local news here because of being the Nassau County executive. But and I know upstate as a whole doesn't have the numbers like, the concentrated in the, in the 5 boroughs, Long Island, Westchester, Rockland, and whatnot. But I still think, it's unfortunate what's done to you folks upstate. I went to school at Albany, SUNY Albany. So I've lived upstate. I stayed up there years after graduating. Upstate gets shafted by downstate, and I hope you guys can help turn the tide up there.
Well, thank you, Rob, for that. And thank you for calling in. And yes, Rob's point of Bruce, I think a lot of times people just assume that upstate is more Republican. But one of the challenges, and we saw this with Trump's presidential election, you got to spend time in these areas, right, to draw people out. And hopefully he will be able to do that over the next several months.
Robert Ortt, I want to thank you for being with us. Thank you for coming on. We're going to stay in touch. Great segment. I got to get you on Godzilla Wins on Saturday, give your take on the Bills. So that's going to be my next call to you on Saturday. I think the Bills are going to have a great season. We're going to end with this because we're going to get Rob Crilly back for another statement. But people want to follow you, Senator. Where do they go?
They can follow me on Twitter at Senator Ortt is my Twitter handle. They can also follow me on Facebook with Senator Rob Ortt. You'll find me on Facebook and Instagram. And I look forward to being back on your show, John. Whenever you want, you give me a call. I'll come back on.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, but you got to make one pick. We're all going to make one pick, no line, straight up. Opening week, Nashville, Titans, Jets. Rob, what's your pick?
It's got to be the Jets.
I'm going to go with the Titans.
Yeah, baby, let's go.
They're wearing the old Houston Oilers uniforms.
Let's
I'm
go.
going Titans.
At least we'll win one game. The over-under on the Titans, I can't believe the over-under on win total, 6.5. I mean, I looked at the schedule. I'm like, how the hell is this team going to win 7 games? Jets is 1. Okay. Raiders is maybe 2. That's it. Oh, my God. I don't know how the hell we're going to win 7 games. But I don't bet against my team. Bad juju. Never bet against you.
Yeah, agreed.
Ever.
Agreed.
Mets are playing the Astros this week.
They are.
We got Jets. We got Mets. We got
massive.
We're on the opposite sides of all this stuff.
Yeah.
Robert, thanks for being with us. I am an Astros fan. Rob is a
Thanks, guys.
Atlas Mets fan. Mets and Jets. What at the bottom?
It's the traditional combination. I mean,
you can't get worse. Robert Ortt, thanks for being with us. Rob Crilly, Chump.
Thank you both.
He's got lots to tell you about, lots to talk about. He's going to be taking your calls too, watching Saturday. When we get back, keep it right.
Downs Racetrack. Live thoroughbred racing June 25th through September 7th. Feel the excitement. Hear the roar of the crowd. Experience Virginia's premier horse racing destination every Thursday through Sunday all summer long. Bring the whole family for Family Fun Sundays packed with activities for all ages. Parking? Free. General admission? Free. Memories? Priceless. Make Colonial Downs Racetrack your new summer fun time tradition. Get tickets and race day info now at colonialdowns.com.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your sat phone. Call now.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
I guarantee they're going to be the most comfortable pillows you'll ever own. King size only $24.98, queen size only $19.98. Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, as low as $29.98. Lux Pierce 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept. Now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. Plus, free shipping options available when you order today. So don't delay, order now.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Hike! Hey Richmond, here comes Alabama Crimson Tide football. As always, the Tide have their eyes on the national prize. Hear pregame, postgame, and every play of in-game action right here all season long. First game, September 5 against East Carolina. Kick time, noon Eastern. Get the full Crimson Tide schedule at WJFNradio.com, part of the John Fredericks Media Network.
Don't touch that dial. You've found your home of the truth.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
With the best analysis in America.
You can't handle the truth.
And now back to the John Fredericks.
Well, it's always good to have you back. We've got Rob Crilly with us, and you can find Rob. He does his column every day, Washington Secrets. And what you need to do is just go to WashingtonExaminer.com/secrets, WashingtonExaminer.com/secrets. You want to sign up for the newsletter there, and then it comes right to your inbox every day, like me, which now that it's coming to the inbox, I'm kind of fired up about it because I don't have to do anything. It just comes right in. I get to read his take, and it's you know what's about your column that I love. Your column is cool.
Good.
It's just a cool column, and it's a nice breezy read because you get so much heavy stuff and you get so much negativity, and you have a fun. It's a fun column.
That's what it's supposed to be. Like, we all get the playbooks and the
they're so boring.
And they're important.
Yeah,
you feel like you have to read them. This, I want you to want to read it and have some fun. So that's the idea, and I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Oh, I definitely enjoy it. I always look forward to it because it is fun and it's cool, and you give insight. You give different stuff, but reading playbook, it's got to be the same old stuff. Oh, here I am, me and Dasha, whatever her name is, and here we are in Timbuktu in my bonus room. Like I could give a crap where you're writing from, right? I hate that stuff. Like, just tell me what's going on. And of course, everything in playbook is Republicans are going to lose. Trump sucks. Everything is bad. Everybody talks about all inside sources say Trump's going to lose. The Republicans are going to get blown out. They're going to lose 50 seats. You know what? It's tiresome.
Yeah.
Well, you, on the other hand, just give insight that's fun.
Look, I'm not going to knock my competitors.
Yeah, do it.
But
they suck.
But when I came up with the idea for this newsletter, I was looking at them thinking, there's enough of that in the market. Let's do something different. So that's the idea. Does it always work? I don't know. It's hard coming up with fun ideas every day, but that's the aim: to make it fun, to make it breezy. And I like that you say that it's cool. I appreciate.
It's cool. That's the way. Somebody asked me the other day about, because I told them, hey, go get Secrets. What do you like about the article? I like it's cool. It's just like for the cool kids. Because it's fun, and it's fun.
Good.
And you got to put something in there about the Jets. That you got to figure it out.
Well, when we win that opening day fixture, I'm going to wipe the smile off your face. Let me tell you that.
Well, this weekend we're playing the Mets. Astros just after losing 2 out of 3 to Oakland, blowing 2 leads in the 8th inning to the worst team in the major leagues with half their teams out. It's like the AAAs. Then they fire their general manager, Dana Brown. This is the Astros. Then they're in first place with a sub 500 record.
Tell me that. I just looked at your record this morning. You're in first place, and your record is now 500. How does that happen? How does that happen? Your division must be really bad. That's what I'm saying.
It's the doormat of baseball. So we got a 500. We got a 1-game lead over Texas, who's worse, and we just beat the Yankees 2 out of 3 after getting beat 4 out of 6 by California Angels and Oakland, the 2 worst teams in the major league. I mean, give me a break. Now we go play the Mets. So,
well, I heard Citi Field is all set up. They've removed all the trash can lids, so we're ready to go.
Oh, guys, you guys are just jealous. 888-480 John. This segment brought to you by my great friends at the Vapor Technology Association. Look, if you vape and you want to stop smoking, the Vapor Technology Association is there for you. Now, Big Tobacco, they have tried to put the vapor business out forever. All these small entrepreneurs, mom and pop shops all over the nation on Main Street, give people an opportunity to vape rather than use cigarettes. Now, I do have a pack of cigarettes here that I had to get out yesterday. I don't do it a lot, but I couldn't find my vaping thing. And when things go south, I go have a cigarette. Probably should say this on air. But if it hadn't been for vaping, I'd still eat a pack a day. So vaping has helped me live longer, get off that stuff. And it's been a godsend to me and so many others. And President Trump got the vape vote. Vapors are voters. It is actually a constituency. It goes under the radar screen. The president said he was going to help the vaping industry. We want to continue to hold his feet to the fire to do that, so that those that vape and those that own vape shops have the same opportunity to be successful as Big Tobacco that rolls up with their, $30,000 Rolex watches and their $15,000 Armani suits. Sick of those people. More information, go to the Vapor Technology. Go to vaportechnology.org. That's vaportechnology.org. And whether you vape or not, support the right to choose vaping over cigarettes. Support that right, whether you do it or not. This message paid for and authorized by the Vapor Technology Association. Okay, secrets. What do you got, Big? What's cool?
What I enjoyed this week, so JD Vance, right? We're all talking about the relationship between Washington and Ottawa, the US and Canada. Yesterday we had Lake Ontario renamed by the president. They're obviously at loggerheads over trade. Now, it turns out JD Vance was working a secret back channel to try and smooth things over and try and get a deal done. And last week, you remember there was a brief breakthrough. The president delayed the imposition of tariffs by a few days to allow the talks to play out. Well, JD Vance celebrated that. He was at a private event in New York. The audio of his remarks got leaked to a Canadian news organization. And in that, he talked about an extra detail in the talks. He said, what a lot of people don't know is that there's this random MP, he called him, talking about a Canadian MP who inserted himself into talks. He went on to describe this guy as a good guy. And it turns out, if you look it up, it's a guy called Ghislaine Giovanni, who is not just some random Conservative MP from Canada. He actually went to Yale Law School with J.D. Vance, where they became fast friends. And Giovanni has written about their relationship before. He said they were at a cheese and wine evening, would you believe? And he was looking at this platter of cheeses, none of which he recognized. And he looked across the room, and there was another guy who was clearly unfamiliar with the selection of the wine and the cheese and would have been much happier with a Budweiser or two. So they became very good friends. And even to the point where Giovanni spoke at J.D. Vance's wedding, and they're in the same fantasy football league together. So what was super interesting is J.D. Vance is quietly building a network of foreign contacts around the world. We think of him as a domestic policy guy, almost like President Trump's prime minister, or when you have Marco Rubio handling the foreign side of stuff, J.D. Vance is talking about waste, fraud, and abuse, the matters that are issues at home. But actually, he's got this friend in Ottawa who was helping massage some back channels. He was close to the former British Foreign Secretary Lammy, who's now out of government but still an influential figure in the British Labour Party, who are in government. We know that he's got links to the ADP in Germany. So he's quietly building up this network. And it was one of these hidden aspects of talks with Canada that I just thought was super interesting. Now, the Vice President's office didn't want to talk to me. Giovanni himself, it's a little embarrassing. The problem for him as a Conservative MP is that he was in a way helping the Labour government in Canada, slightly awkward. But even more problematic is that in his remarks, J.D. Vance rather slagged off the Conservative leader in Canada, Pierre Poilievre, as essentially insignificant. And meanwhile, he's talking to one of his lowly MPs. So nobody really wanted to talk about this, but I just thought super interesting that J.D. Vance was quietly working this back channel to try and smooth over relations.
And the bigger picture from what I can glean from what you're saying in your secrets column, the bigger picture is he wants to build his foreign network portfolio because obviously there is a likely run between him and Marco Rubio, and he doesn't want to, and La Savita too, doesn't want to cede that entire space to Rubio.
Yeah, and I think
would you say that's accurate?
I think it's definitely true that J.D. Vance wants to burnish his foreign credentials. You know, he handled the Iran portfolio, which was seen at one stage as a success with the deal that was made in Pakistan, but I think has maybe unraveled a little bit. I actually now don't think it's going to come down to a run between J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio.
Why?
I think what we've seen in the past couple of weeks, we've seen President Trump rather saying that J.D. Vance is the chosen one. If Rubio wants to run, he can change all of that. But I think ultimately it's now J.D. Vance as if he wants it. I think all the speculation, all the fun we've had over the past 6 months watching how well Marco Rubio has done with his brief, we've seen no moves whatsoever by Marco Rubio to try and cash in on that. Now, there's two ways of reading that. One is that the smart move is not to show your hand. Donald Trump doesn't like you jockeying in that way. But the other interpretation is he's not that interested. And the other piece I would add to this is we know that J.D. Vance is headlining a MAGA Inc. event next week in Michigan. So is this just a MAGA Inc. fundraising event, or is this the soft launch for Donald Trump's super PAC to say they're all in behind J.D. Vance?
Well, it's run by La Savita, who's his general consultant, Chris La Savita. So I don't think there's any doubt. They've also hired Carolyn Levitt, who can now work from home in New Hampshire in order to do that, as she did during the campaign. Remember, she started with MAGA Inc. before she went. She started with MAGA Inc., and then she went as she was spokesman there. And I used to get her on my show as just a MAGA Inc. spokesman. Then she went to the campaign, became the campaign press secretary for the campaign, and then obviously, the great story on her from there. But I think your insight here. This is why you need to read Secrets. WashingtonExaminer.com/secrets. Sign up. That's insight that no one else has, and I think you've nailed it. The MAGA Inc. in Michigan. President Trump now saying very nice things about him. No moves from Rubio, none whatsoever.
Nothing.
Now you go to Dallas, okay? Trump's going to be there both days. Trump is got a speech Wednesday and a speech Thursday. Speech Thursday, obviously the keynote, that's going to close the convention out. But who's got the keynote Wednesday? Vance, right? So you got so it showcased, and I don't want to, again, you cannot overlook what happened in South Carolina.
Right.
This, everybody that says, oh, Trump lost the Jews, Republicans are mad, and they, MAGA's falling apart. I mean, they went into South Carolina and they elected a neophyte that had no business being a U.S. senator, that can't answer basic questions, has no knowledge, was really embarrassing at that debate. They spent $1.5 million against somebody that was going to vote with them 99.9% of the time. And and people that were voting for her that came out didn't even know who she was. They didn't care. All they know is Trump wanted me to get out and help him out. And they came out in massive numbers in a fourth tier primary, right? With voter fatigue.
Yeah.
And what put her over the top was R1 and R2 voters, which is the people that we got to get out in the midterms. So President Trump went there. If you looked at her pluralities, because I was there covering it live in Myrtle Beach in Horry County, I mean, she won Horry County by 20,000 votes. She won Myrtle Beach 8-1. Like, who the hell does that?
Yeah.
He got his voters out.
Yeah.
And if he does it there, now the big question is, can he do it in these swing states?
Yeah, I mean, the pollsters I talk to will tell you this all comes down to mid-propensity voters. These are the people you ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to vote in the midterms? And they're around the 4 to 7 sort of mark. They're the people who will vote when Donald Trump is on the ballot. But will they vote for some congressman or woman they don't really know, or a new candidate that they frankly never heard of? And I think last week we saw some moves to suggest the Republicans were struggling worse than we thought. The Cook political report, I mean, you will say I'm sure they're not as neutral as we want to think. They moved several races in from the lean Republican into the toss-up column. So there's some bad news. But I think this South Carolina result is extraordinary. And I think the other thing that it does is President Trump has not looked that interested in the midterms for most of this year. I think this is going to put a spring in his step, and it can show him that he can make a difference. And I think we're going to start to see him campaigning more. We're getting closer, of course, to November. So, people always say it never really gets started until after Labor Day. So there's all of that. But I think this shows him that he can be a winner if he gets out there, even with his approval ratings, absolutely, at rock bottom. But I think it's going to give him that lift. And I think we're going to see more of President Trump now. And as you say, it's all going to, a couple of weeks' time, we're all going to be in Dallas. And I think he enjoys those conventions. Suddenly he had a whale of a time in, where were we, Milwaukee a couple of years ago. This is all going to be him. I think we're going to hear a lot of Suspicious Minds. We're going to hear a lot of Elvis and all those tracks he loves. And I'm looking, I mean, there'll be no Hulk Hogan, of course, but I'm wondering what those other breakout moments are going to be, those things that are going to become the viral clips and the must-see. And I do pick up some worries among Republicans that they don't know where some of that other stardust is going to come from. But there's no doubt that President Trump is going to put himself at the center of all of this.
Well, that's why you're having the Dallas convention.
Yeah.
And if you really look at this, and then I'm going to get to Anthony here from Florida. Anthony, I'll get right to you. If you really look at this, the purpose of the Dallas convention is to showcase the president, what he's done, and get him back on the trail. And so, yes, he's not been focused on the midterms. He's been focused on electing in primaries his preferred candidates. Well, now those primaries are over, except I think we got New Hampshire September. Who cares? Sununu's going to win that big. So, and Sununu could actually win. Now he's going to focus on the midterms. I mean, the vision is get out of this convention, have the spirit you had, come out of Milwaukee, hit the road, rally after rally after rally after rally, never come home, do the rallies, get the vote out, start spending the MAGA Inc. money, start getting the phone banking going, do the teletown halls, do all the stuff he's done. And I think when he starts to do that, things are going to turn. And this is why I'm still optimistic that the Republicans are going to win the midterms. I think I'm the only body in media saying that. I think they're going to win the House.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
I would take your money if you want to have that bet.
No, I don't do Kalshi for obvious reasons, but same with you.
Yeah.
But I just think we're going to win. I think we're going to hold the House by 1 or 2.
Okay.
And I think we're going to actually expand in the Senate. So I'm more bullish than anybody. So we'll see what happens, because I think the polls are fake. And I think this DSA thing is going to blow up in their face.
Well, you said last week Ralph Norman was going to win. So you may want to be careful with your predictions.
That's true.
I did as well, though. So,
I did say it was going to win, and I was wrong. So you can't win them all. I am saying the Titans, though, are going to beat the Jets, and the Astros will beat the Mets 2 out of 3. All right, let's get to Anthony in Florida. Anthony, you're on with John and Rob, the Jets fan.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning. Go.
I'll try to be nice and preppy and fun.
Okay.
For you, John. So
Yep.
not be so dour.
Okay.
I'll stay coloring book, nice and fun. Okay. The representative you had on, you took Rob instead of me, because I actually lived in this guy's district.
Well, then you got wait, stop. You got to tell that to Dan, because I got 2 callers, Rob in New York and Anthony in Florida. So you should have told Dan to put in the Chiron there that Anthony lived in his district, and now would have taken the call. I can only go by what Dan puts on. So I got a New York caller and I got a Florida caller. So I took the New York caller because that's what's written down in my chat. So your quarrels with Dan, not me. But go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, my fault. But as a former person that lived in that district. That's the main reason why I don't live in New York anymore, because, you know, the minority leader, he's in a perfect position. He doesn't have to do anything. And the GOP in that area is they're pure wimps. If you really want to know the beat, the heart of whether or not that candidate for governor is going to win, this is my suggestion, the AM radio station is AM 930. And the top guy at the Chiron on the thing is he's a Medal of Honor winner, named David Bellavia. Bit of a rhino from my point of view, but he has a better idea, and he has his pulse on the Erie County Republicans, which are full of rhinos and wimps, if you're listening there. But that's and Green Bay is in Buffalo right now, because members of my family was out there waving their Buffalo flags as their buses came through the town, so Green Bay is in Buffalo right now. And I noticed he did not answer your question about the tickets. He flubbed and danced and jumped all over the place, but he did not answer your question. Like, hey, what are you going to do about those tickets? What are you going to do about the regular people that have to pay all the money for those seats and tickets? He didn't answer the question. So this is the reason why I dislike politicians and the media. Not you. You're John. You're cool with me. But sorry to your buddy sitting next to you. You DC press and politicians can't stand you. Don't trust you. There's a reason why I live in the free state of Florida with John's daughter, who is probably as happy as a clam.
He's a Jets fan. Show him some.
Oh, that makes it worse.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, dude. Can
you imagine getting up every day and you root for the Jets and the Mets? I mean, it's like, why don't you just put toothpicks in your head?
But it makes the wins.
Well, he is British, so he's a Jets fan, so he is British. So what are you gonna do?
Can you imagine if the Jets go into Nashville and the Titans open 0-1 and get beat at home by their and they get beat by the Jets with their former coach Robert Salah? I mean, talk about embarrassing.
Geno Smith, baby, he's the answer.
Could you imagine getting Geno Smith?
Yeah, it'd be like
42.
It'd be like a football player that missed a bad goal. They wouldn't be allowed back in the state.
You know what? I'm still mad at you because you abandoned the Sabres and now you root for the Lightning, whatever the hell they are. Sabres are good, dude.
Tampa Bay Lightning. They're a good team.
I think the Sabres are going to.
The Sabres?
Every hockey year, I have a pick, a shock pick, and I'm almost always right. Last year was Montreal. Beginning of the season, I said, "This is not your father's Canadians. This team is going to make the playoffs and go deep." I was right. Won a lot of money on them. This year, Sabres, good young team, got some veterans. Love what they've done in the front office. They got to win more games at home, like the old days. They do that. Sabres are going to be tough. All right, Anthony, I got to go. Rob's got to go. He's got to get back to work. This is his fun hour.
It really is.
John Fredericks Media Network. George Allen, former governor of Virginia, former U.S. Senator, Virginia Gang, Saxman. He's chomping at the bit. They're all coming up on the Virginia Gang. Keep it right here on the John Fredericks Media Network.
To respond Friday after the flooding killed more than 470 people and left more than 1,500 missing. I'm Charles Ledesma.
President Trump's effort to prevent fraud in voting by mail has been put on hold.
A federal judge is again blocking President Trump's executive order on mail ballots from being implemented, this time for 2 weeks. It comes about a week before the first ballots are due to be sent out for November's midterm elections. The Trump administration's formal rule effectively says the Postal Service will not deliver mail ballots unless states provide a list of voters who should receive them and format the envelopes in a particular way. The case could be appealed back to the Supreme Court just days after the justices handed down a procedural decision allowing the administration to move ahead. I'm Ben Thomas.
Jurors in the Lindsay Clancy murder trial due to resume deliberation shortly. Clancy, the Massachusetts mother, charged with first-degree murder and the strangulation deaths of her 3 young children. She claims to have suffered postpartum psychosis. Wall Street ahead of this morning's opening bell, and Dow futures are up 107 points. NASDAQ futures down 36. S&P futures 8 points higher. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hey, y'all, I'm Willie Robertson.
And I'm Corey Robertson.
We partnered with Echo. It's a new platform, not just streaming.
Movies and series that are safe for your family. I love a podcast.
Plus, Echo Daily Devotionals.
Echo.
Hey, Willie, what is Echo?
Echo is my pet squirrel. Okay, Echo is not just faith-friendly, it is faith-driven.
Be a part of something better.
Echo.
Echo.
It's where I want to be.
That's EKKL.com.
Subscribe now.
Hi, Rhett Rasmussen of BestHotGrill.com. Step up your grilling game with our Solaire portable infrared grills. Our compact everywhere is a favorite of RVers and trailer pullers. Solaire infrared provides the quick sear for bar marks and texture needed to properly finish sous vide. Use a portable alongside your larger conventional grill to create an instant sear zone and more juicy and flavorful food. Learn more at BestHotGrill.com. Affordable, powerful, portable infrared grills at BestHotGrill.com.
Norway's got a brand new king.
Crown Prince Haakon has ascended to the throne following the death of his father, King Harald V. His daughter becomes Crown Princess Ingrid Alexandra and heir to the throne. The role of Norwegian monarch is largely symbolic, as the power lies within an elected parliament. But the country's royal family retains celebrity and a role in promoting the wealthy nation across the world. The 53-year-old Haakon's tasks will include stabilizing the Scandinavian country's monarchy and the royal family's popularity after his wife's past contacts with the sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and his stepson's sexual assault conviction. Bernie Bennett reporting.
Congo government figures show that the fastest-growing Ebola outbreak in history has spread to 2 new health zones in eastern Congo. The outbreak has recorded 5,794 confirmed cases, including 2,786 deaths, as it spreads at an unprecedented speed in Congo. News and analysis, townhall.com. More cases of lettuce-related illness in places that hadn't seen it till now.
The Food and Drug Administration says the outbreak now involves 20 states and more than 11,400 people. The new states are Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas. Federal regulators have focused their investigation on lettuce from a farm in central Mexico operated by Taylor Farms. The FDA says its inspectors are on site and continue to test and investigate its practices. Cyclospora is a microscopic parasite that causes watery diarrhea. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Amid the ongoing trade flap with Canada, President Trump says he is renaming Lake Ontario Lake America. The executive order's been signed, updating the body of water's official name, at least on the American side of the border. Canada is having none of it, saying the lake's name will remain what it has been for hundreds of years. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are a $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your sat phone. Call now.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got my pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
I guarantee they're going to be the most comfortable pillows you'll ever own. King size, only $24.98. Queen size only $19.98. Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, as low as $29.98. Lux Pierce 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept. Now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. Plus, free shipping options available when you order today. So don't delay, order now.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
Folks, this is Crom Carmichael, CEO of Solti. I have recently turned 77 years old. I do not take prescription drugs. I have not had to take prescription drugs, and I attribute a lot of my good health to a product that I've been taking, which is the active ingredient in Solti. It's a 22% concentration of theaflavin. We did clinical trials on it 25 years ago and found that it helped lower cholesterol. We have had many, many hundreds of letters and emails from customers telling us how it has helped them not only manage their cholesterol, but lower their triglycerides and help them on their blood pressure. And I can't tell you how much I attribute to Solti for my good health at age 77. And I encourage you to go to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. And use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% off on your initial shipment of Solti. And I promise you it will be a great help for your heart health. Thanks so much.
Trump 2.0 is in full effect. How do you keep up with all the action? I'll tell you. TrumpNationNews.com is your inside source for the inside scoop. Manufacturing, jobs, deportations, and the nation's rejuvenation. The first 100 days and beyond. All the news you need and no liberal gibberish. It's the perfect way to start your day. Sign up for the TNN newsletter. Do it today. TrumpNationNews.com. TrumpNationNews.com. Part of the John Fredericks Media Network.
Live from the studios of the John Fredericks Media Network, it's the John Fredericks Show. Grab yourself a cup of 1775 coffee, sit back, and get ready for the best 4 hours of talk in the universe. To be part of the show, just call our toll-free number, 888-480-5646. And now, here's the Godzilla of Truth, the Oracle of the Deplorables, the man who plays to win the game, John Fredericks.
Well, you're on the John Fredericks Media Network and all the John Fredericks radio apps, and I am your Godzilla of the Truth in America, Virginia gang coming up. Great to have you guys with us today. We've got the gangs all here. Hey, we got Chap Peterson is here. We got Joe Morrissey. We got Jim Hobgood. Wow. Well, we got everybody. We got George Allen. We got Saxman. Wow, it must be, and now they want topics. Morrissey wants topics. Joe, we need no stinking topics. This is the Virginia gang. It's like whatever happens, whatever comes up. I don't give a rundown to anybody. There's no rundowns here. Dan, let me ask you something. Do I look like I have a plan, Dan? Do I look like I have a plan? Oh, my goodness.
I really look like a guy with a plan.
Morrissey wants topics. What is this, the Holiday Inn? Virginia gang coming up. But first, Saxman, this is for you, baby. Chris Saxman and I will love our medical emergency kit. Now, very seriously, you and your family, if something happens, you get sick. And I don't mean like something bad happens, like you get a spider bite, like Ann got red ant bites on her toe the other day with those open toe shoes. I forget where we were. They swelled up. I had our medical kit with us, opened it up, looked it up in the book, right? It was there in the guide book, took the antibiotics. One day, gone. Otherwise, it would have been like a week. Got to go to a stock in the box, spend $400. Instead, it was right here in my medical emergency kit. If you get one of these viruses that are going around with a diarrhea, we've got the antidote right here. You get a flu, you get a cold, you get a virus, you got Z-Pak, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin. Everything is right in here. All the antibiotics that you need. And if you or your family feel sick and you have your medical emergency kit with you, you can get better immediately instead of having to wait days, go to the emergency room or go to your doctor, especially when you're traveling or something like that. And that's why I never get sick, because I have my medical emergency kit. I have 3 of them. One is on the bus, one is in my permanent bag, which travels with me wherever I go, and one is right here at the home and office. So get your medical emergency kit today. This is the best thing that you can do for you and your family. And Chris Saxman, best testament to this, him and his wife, Michelle, lovely lady. They were out traveling. They were in the Caribbean. She got sick. He didn't have his medical emergency kit. He had to spend $500. She was sick for 3 days. Had she had this and they were traveling with it, boom, she would have been able to get better within a day, save your $500 and feel better and not lose 3 days of her vacation. And Chris Saxman can attest to this. So for you and your family, this is an essential. Just go to twc.health/Godzilla. This is all you have to do. It's so easy, folks. twc.health/Godzilla. Now, if you put in promo code Godzilla, that's going to save you 10%. So this becomes very affordable with that savings. Now you're going to have to go through an online survey with their doctors, because these are prescription medications. You can't just get them, like these are not over the counter. So you got to go through that. That'll take you 15 or 20 minutes, but then you're good to go and you can get whatever you need replenished. And I urge everybody, the wellness company, go to twc.health/Godzilla. Get your medical emergency kit today. Promo code Godzilla, going to save you 10%. So you know what? Save your money and get what you need today, like Chris and I do. Okay, we're going to bring everybody in. Let's go, Virginia gang. We got Hobgood. We got Chap Peterson, former state senator Chap Peterson, former state senator Joe Morrissey, the great one. That's your new nickname, Chris Saxman, the great one.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, you ought to take it. Saxman's been with me 15 years coming on my shows. He's the great one. And so thank you, Chris, for joining us. Always enjoy your input and our friendship as we travel together on many bus tours. Also with us, former governor of Virginia, former U.S. Senator from Virginia, Republican George Allen. So we got, I think I got everybody in, right? So let's just, Morrissey's looking for topics. We got no stinking topics. I just want you guys to open it up, and I'm going to start with Saxman. Saxman, we got a lot going on. Spanberger's turned into be a complete disaster. Now I don't know what the hell she's got going on in there, but now she's saying that that you can't deport criminals. Now she's back to defund the police. I've never seen a governor collapse in the polls like this lady has in, what has it been? 8 months? When did she get in? 25? Like, how has this happened?
Well, there's 2 different polls that have come out. One is a Morning Consult poll, which was registered voters that had her at 54% approval, favorable rating. And then you had the VCU Wilder School poll that came out that polled adults, not registered voters. And it's going to be a very different subset. So they were 10 points off. The 2 polls are different, and they have a different lens on it, because literally anyone in the Commonwealth could pick up the phone if you're an adult and go, yeah, I'm an adult, I can take this poll. So it's not a scientific, I mean, it's a scientific poll. It's not a campaign poll, and I wouldn't read too much into either of those right now at this stage.
Okay, let's get to just law and order. Basically, in Virginia, she's not working with ICE. We had this criminal that was basically let out in North Virginia that then murdered a young lady. There's been no accountability. There's been no apology. Toscano said nothing. Spanberger hasn't said anything. At some point, Governor Allen, where's the accountability?
Well, accountability needs to come from the people, the owners of the government, and the way that they vote. And it's not just voting for governor, it's voting for state legislators. And indeed, in Fairfax County in particular, pay attention to your Commonwealth's attorney. That guy's a criminal apologist. And, ideally, and those of you all who might remember when I was governor, we had law enforcement and education as top responsibilities of state government. And the way you pay for it is with a vibrant strong economy where people are working and businesses are prospering and get the revenues in. We put in truth in sentencing, crack down on violent criminals. And we ended up, after years of this in truth in sentencing, with amongst the lowest violent crime rates of any state in the country. The only ones that are even close are places like Vermont and Maine, which are hardly similar to Virginia. But unfortunately, the Democrats leading in Virginia these days is not Chap Peterson and it's not anyone on this call, but ideally as a governor, you would want to work that you have state and local law enforcement working with federal agents, with ICE, to make your community safe. That's just logical. That's just common sense. And we would work that way when I was governor on say, gun crimes, because the federal laws for people illegally possessing firearms was a tougher sentence. So you'd have that cooperation. You had that cooperation with Jason Miyares when he was Attorney General. And so while the Democrats these days are saying, well, you know, their law enforcement proposals, they've backed away from defund the police. But what they're actually doing is they're asking for lax prosecution. They want early release of violent felons, and they want these early released violent convicted felons to get registered to vote. And this is not, to me, responsible public safety policy or leadership in Virginia.
Well, it's been such a catastrophe here, and all the Republicans have to do as they go into the midterms, and I'm still bullish. I know I'm the only person in media still predicting that the Republicans keep the House. I'm one guy, and I'm so convinced here I'm going to be right after Dallas when President Trump hits it on all four cylinders, and we're going to see what happens. But they point to affordability, and if you look at Virginia, prices have gone up. Utility bills, everything has gone up here. Let's get Chap Peterson. I'm going to go to you. I got two things: Commanders and data centers. Which do you want to hit first?
Well, I'm a Redskins fan, so I'm not familiar with the Commanders.
Okay, Redskins. Let's get to the Redskins. All right. You were one of the biggest fans they ever had in history.
That's true.
You were right there at the cusp of them hiring you as a senior executive.
Well, I wouldn't have taken. There we go. And George is holding up the logo and the Two Guns White Calf visit.
Yep.
And by the way, I have talked to his family who want the rights back, and that we could do a show about getting the rights back.
Yes.
And then relaunching it with another team. But I'll talk a little bit about football. Sure. I think that the franchise with Jaden Daniels as quarterback, he's a very dynamic player. I don't like them in the NFC East, though. I think Daniels is a dynamic player, but he reminds me a little bit of Robert Griffin, that he's fragile. And if he gets hurt, that team falls apart pretty quickly. I don't think their defense is all that stout. And I like some of the other teams in that division. I think Dallas and New York are both coming on. And I think the Eagles are probably still the best team. So I think the DC team will probably be headed for the fourth place finish. By the way, I'm still, if they do build a new stadium in DC, I'm still very adamant and interested that it be renamed Robert F. Kennedy Stadium in honor of a great American. And of course, his son is in the Trump administration, so I don't see why the president would have a problem with that. Data center.
Now, the problem with that, Chap, I hate to interrupt.
Go ahead, please.
You realize how valuable the naming rights are for a stadium?
Well, that's going to get me to my next point. Which is I'm gonna say something that's shocking. And Chris, you may need to cover your ears because this is going to blow your mind. Money is not everything. Let me repeat that for your audience, John. Money is not everything. And that brings me to the topic of data centers. People say, well, why are data centers so unpopular? Why are data centers? They represent so much revenue. Local governments, people in Loudoun County ought to be thrilled because their property taxes are half of what they should be. They have this great school system. Everybody in the school system is making all this money. And yet everybody in Loudoun's unhappy and the county board's on the way out. And, people are running as challengers and will certainly get elected. You'll get a complete turnover in that board. Because people in life seek beauty. See, Jim Hobgood's taking notes. The rest of y'all are not. People in life seek beauty.
Roger
It's more
Scruton.
important. And as humans, we're attracted to beauty. That's why the Egyptians built the pyramids. That's why the medieval Europeans built cathedrals. That's why in an earlier era, Americans built skyscrapers. They were beautiful. They stretched to the sky. And so, John, you're going to ask me about data centers. Data centers have become unpopular because, one, they are ugly. Two, the idea of AI, I think to a lot of people is fundamentally, I don't know if I'd say frightening or intimidating, but this idea that essentially machines will do thinking and replace human beings. I'm not necessarily there with the latter part. I am there, though, with the former part. I do think that beauty is important. I think preserving beauty is important. And I think in large places of the Commonwealth, we choose to live here because it's a beautiful place.
100%.
And Governor, you have been very eloquent in talking about the coastline at Virginia Beach and the need to keep it pristine, just as the English settlers saw it when they first sailed up into the mouth of Chesapeake Bay. Same thing with the Blue Ridge Mountains, keeping it the way God made it. And so I think beauty is important, John. Money's not everything. Beauty is important.
All right,
I'm
let me say
Yeah.
something with Chap.
We'll
Chap and
we'll
I-
let you guys in. Let me just comment on this one thing.
All right.
Right? Because I agree with Chap. And
100%.
George Allen, Chap Peterson, Chris Saxman, and John Fredericks all married beautiful women and married up. So just on that one statement, I agree with you.
Okay.
If we
time.
talk about beauty, it's also in, I would imagine, all four
So
of
did
us.
Jim Hobgood, I might add.
There you go.
Thank you for playing. Anybody else want to chip in?
Well, I was just going to say, if beauty is everything, that might explain why I never got anywhere.
Well, one of the
John,
problems that Chap brings up on beauty is not just, it's also location.
Right.
And unfortunately, in Loudoun County, they are visible from the road, and people draw opinions on them. Most of these around the country are zoned in industrial parks away from most people, like most factories are these days, or breweries, or wherever. They're off the beaten path, and localities are putting them. Like Mecklenburg County has a great industrial park. They've lowered their property taxes to 31 cents a hundred. They're building schools and government centers and doing a lot of great things with the resources, and even more going to be better with the resources. But Chap is right on. I wish they had called the Garden Club of Virginia early and said, how can we pretty these things up? And they would have said red brick would be really great. Put in some white columns a la Thomas Jefferson, and people would have gone, that's not so bad. Or at least put some magnolias in front of it, or some boxwoods or whatever.
Down in North Carolina, they made the cell towers look like pine trees. So maybe that's what they should have done.
Well, they have that around Mount Vernon too.
Yeah. But you can't deny the need for them in our economy of the future. I mean, the amount of data, I put out a column yesterday about all the statistics that come with how much, like 25 billion text messages are sent a day. YouTube uploads 500 hours of video every minute. Consumer demand is driving this need for data centers. This is where the economy is going. If you don't like data centers, turn off your phones, get off the television when you have streaming services, go live a pen and paper life, get a postage stamp, and send your email that way, because you just can't escape where the economy is going. You have to do it better.
But you're not addressing.
John, let me address some of the
point.
What was the point? I agreed with him.
His point is the reason why it is failing.
It's not
in
failing.
The polls is because they're ugly and people.
No,
don't
because
like
the
them.
poll. You talk about polling, and polling questions are being stupid, and the stupid questions are pervasive here. They say, "Would you want a data center in your neighborhood?" Well, who the hell wants a data center in their neighborhood or their community? If you said, "Do you want a data center in your local industrial park?" they might go, "Yeah, it should probably go there." But that's how we're being bamboozled on this thing from a public perception, in my estimation.
John, let me weigh in on this, because this is an issue that's come up in Petersburg. I've kind of taken a deep dive. There are three pros to having your data center. Obviously, the very first one, it generates substantial tax revenue. They estimate that in Petersburg, if the Newville project comes through, $1.5 billion project, it could be between 40 and 60 million a year. That's huge. Number two, the other pro is the infrastructure investment. What these data centers do is they accelerate regional investments in the electric grid, and including high-speed fiber optic telecommunications. That's great. The third is tremendous support for our digital economy. It provides the actual infrastructure required for cloud computing, enterprise software, e-commerce. That's all great, and people can understand that. But here are the negatives. The power grid demands are huge. It consumes massive amounts of electricity continuously, and it strains the local grids. Significant water issue. We hear a little bit about this, but it's a significant negative. The liquid cooling systems of these data centers can consume millions of gallons of water a day. And the job density isn't as great as they say it is. Initially, to build them, sure, a great job density, but afterwards, it doesn't take a great number of employees to run that center. And then the last is the noise and land use. These grids or these data centers require industrial HVAC units and cooling towers that produce continual low frequency ambient noise, which affects the quality of our life. So it's not just, if you weigh those, plus what Chris said a moment ago, you make a decision. You make a decision as a community. Politicians tend to make the decision two ways. How much money is going to come into the locality? 40 million a year in Petersburg, that's huge. Versus the people don't seem to want it, and politicians want to get reelected. Just pointing out the pros and cons, and people will make their own decisions.
You know, John, the 800-pound gorilla in the room that nobody's mentioned yet is there's a huge national security interest. So we got to figure out where we can put these things and make the electricity and the water work, or else we're going to all be speaking Chinese one of these days.
Well,
okay.
I mean,
well, here's a summary. Let me sum this all up. Everyone's made excellent points. Jim Hobgood, his point is the AI race, which is essential. We cannot fall behind the Chinese. You want to be the world leaders in innovation. I think a lot of the data center opposition is because of people's fear of AI. And they say, oh, it's going to do away with jobs and this, that, and the other. And always, there were people worried about the Industrial Revolution. There were the Teamsters were, are the truck drivers of today. They're not worried about autonomous vehicles taking away truck drivers. Well, they still called the Teamsters when they were running teams of horses to drive wagons and carrying cargo. So there'll be advances. Now, the data centers, Chris Saxon's got the point, is that where they ought to be located are industrial parks. It doesn't matter if data centers look bad and whether they're painted, they should be painted white to reflect heat so they don't have a heat load. The main cost of running a data center is cooling. There's not that many people to actually operate it, which is Senator Morrissey's point. There's a lot to build it. But if you locate them in an industrial park, if they have a closed loop system, the issue of electricity and Virginia having to wheel so much electricity into Virginia is a failure not of the data centers, but the failure of Virginia's whimsical, idiotic, stupid, costly, unreliable energy policies. We in Virginia have to import more electricity than any other state, although once in a while California is worse than we are. So all those high voltage power lines going through Loudoun County and Clark County and places that don't lock it, they're coming from Pennsylvania, Ohio, and West Virginia because Virginia doesn't generate enough of its own energy. So the ideal situation would be, they call it behind the meter, that actually the data centers run their own electricity. And some of the best models of this are in Western Pennsylvania and Southwest Louisiana. And I think Texas is probably going to do this too, is that where they have the energy, they're going to have power plants, and those power plants are going to power the data centers, and whatever excess power are coming from that generation will get put onto the grid. And in 5 years from now, or maybe longer, there'll be these small modular reactors available. And I've actually commended Amazon for putting data centers right next to the nuclear power plant up in Louisa County. People don't like anything near them, but again, properly located. And this decision, by the way, should not be by the federal government sticking their big fat nose into the business of the states. And in my view, it should be decided by the people in the counties and cities that are the ones who have the prerogatives and jurisdiction over zoning. And the state can have your statewide policies, but it ought to be a local decision. But ideally, Virginia would have a much more rational energy policy and have, if West Virginia, for example, Governor Morrissey of West Virginia, he's trying to attract data centers there, and he wants to put them right next to a power plant, which makes good logistical sense. People don't like to be living next to a power plant either. So there's probably not much. You don't put these things in the middle of agricultural areas or next to residential subdivisions.
Governor,
you put them.
Governor, let me ask you this.
Sense.
You talked about local zoning, and I'm going to ask you a question and tell me how you would address it. The data centers are often driven by the locality's zoning changes. And Petersburg, for example, in 2024 had sweeping zoning changes. And what they did is data centers were classified as by right use in both light and heavy industrial districts. So if the developer bought a site in a light industrial district, he did not have to apply for zoning for the data center.
Not a special permit.
Right.
Yeah. My question is, should we forbid for data centers by right, or make it a state responsibility, or, as you suggested, I think a moment ago, continue to let the locality make the decision?
I would let the locality make that decision. I don't see where it harms others. The harm of, again, it's not in harming the quiet enjoyment of anybody other than in that jurisdiction. But again, if you site it in an industrial park where you maybe have all sorts of manufacturing of pharmaceuticals, manufacturing of automobile parts, manufacturing of electronics, and so forth. None of these places are pretty. They don't meet Chap Peterson's aesthetics of Jeffersonian classical architecture. But that should be, I think, a local decision. Where it does affect everyone, and this is a legitimate concern, is that they do suck up a lot of electricity, and that's what you need to power the air conditioning units. You could have closed loop systems so that water, that worry about water, if there's a water concern, you can have these closed loop systems. But as I understand the operation of the closed loop systems, like a radiator, is they do need more electricity to power the air conditioning units. But the way that everyone is affected by it is that demand on electricity. Now, what Virginia has done, as I understand it, Chris can correct me, is that they're going to have a special category because there's different rates for residential, commercial, industrial uses, and they're putting on another rate for them. Ideally, I think these data center folks, because they could be anywhere, as long as you have fiber optics, sufficient capacity through fiber optics, these data centers can be anywhere in a nanosecond of transmitting information that is being stored there. Ideally, I think that ultimately they should be generating their own electricity and not be subject to the monopoly situation that you have here in Virginia and generally speaking every state.
Go ahead, Chad. All
right, and I've been hearing a lot of more educated and erudite people, but let me just point something simply out. You have 125 or whatever jurisdictions in Virginia, and a lot of them are small counties, counties with 20,000 or less people. You have data center companies, QTS, Compass, companies like that are some of the wealthiest companies in the world. They come into a county and there are no limits on campaign contributions in Virginia. And I saw what happened in Prince William County. They started handing out $50,000 checks to people. Okay. So, Governor, I'm with you on Jeffersonian democracy. I've also seen where a checkbook comes in and sort of tilts the playing field a little bit.
Well, anybody who's being bribed, I'd prosecute them.
I'm not even saying bribe. That word did not come out of my mouth.
Come on.
That word did not come out of my. I have to do business
was
with
not as
everybody
if
up here, okay?
it's
I'm
not
still
as
doing
if there's
business
no
up here.
restraints.
What Chap is saying is that if he gets a $50,000 check followed by a phone call from that particular lobbyist, he returns the call.
voting.
That's all I'm saying. And as would any legislator.
Well,
not
and
just Chap.
and when I was running, and I told lobbyists all the time, I said, "I'll take your money, but it makes me harder to vote for you." I'm going to say that at the jump because I don't want. It's not worth. It's not
from that.
It's not worth the headline for me. That was my judgment call. Look, there is a tremendous amount of money being thrown at data centers and localities because it's a huge booming part of our economy. The entire economy is going online. You can't stop that. And if we can do it here in America and submit to the trade-offs versus straight up solutions and just deal with all the problems, reasonably, responsibly, with civil discourse, we can solve this problem. But right now, this thing is being set up to be this dramatic pitched battle that it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, but it is because people don't want them. And you guys are talking about money. Okay, let me just. No,
they want them. They use them every day.
Let me just.
We're using one right now.
Nobody's disputing that. Nobody's disputing that they're using them. But we'll get to election in a minute. But you guys are bringing up money, right? Let me just remind everybody what just happened. 5 Virginia Republican senators who broke from the legislative Republican caucus to support online casino gambling. I'm not talking about athletics, baseball, football, DraftKings, FanDuel, right? Or MGM like I do.
Right.
No, I'm talking about on your phone, I can bet the roulette wheel, blackjack. I just right on my phone, which I am like unbelievably opposed to because this is just an addictive thing that's horrible. You can lose $100 sitting in your car getting a cup of coffee at Wawa, all right? So 5 GOP senators broke with the caucus to back that. Thank God it went down in flames as it should. 5 of these people received $100,000 donations from the Gambling Coalition that put this on, which is the biggest single donation to a state senator in Virginia history. 5 of them. 5. So you guys are going to sit here and tell me
that's not the biggest single donation in Virginia state history. It's not
$100,000 apiece, and you're going to tell me, like Chap Peterson said, a check doesn't matter?
No. I didn't say it didn't matter, John. You didn't listen. You're factually inaccurate that it's the largest campaign donation to a sitting senator. It's not true. Go look at VPAP and the donations being thrown around, and you can retract that. Not that you have to, but I'm just saying it's not accurate. And there's a real problem in our funding, our campaign finance. Chap and I have talked about this publicly. But that story that came out also buried what other donations were received and what actions conceivably took place as a result of those contributions. The problem with that story was the headline wasn't the story, but the headline got the clicks and all the social media posts and everything here in Virginia. But I thought it was one of the most partisan hack jobs I've ever seen. It was a
you
horrible
got to be kidding
story.
me, right? I mean, you can't be having a serious discussion here. You got
I'm having a serious conversation.
You got 5
John,
GOP senators.
Factually accurate.
You got 5 GOP senators that broke with your caucus.
Read the whole story, John.
Well, they broke with the caucus. They got $100,000 apiece. Let me tell you who they are.
Maybe they should invest in crypto. I don't care.
Senator Craig, Senator Diggs, Senator Jordan, the formerly Emily, Senator Pillion, and Senator Sturtevant.
Before or after the vote?
After the vote.
Okay.
Well, before or after, what's the difference? They
Read
got
the rest of the story,
$100,000
John.
apiece.
Go do the entire digging on this story and who else got money. It wasn't just 5 senators from Republicans.
Chris, you're missing John's point.
I'm not missing the point. He's not
Well,
telling
hold on
the
a second.
entire
Let me,
truth.
Chris, you had 2 minutes. I just want 20 seconds.
2 minutes?
$100,000 to 5 individual senators, and whether they voted before or after receiving the money actually doesn't pass the smell
It doesn't pass the
sounds
smell
like they're
test for
being
me, Joe.
influenced
No, I agree
by
with you.
money.
I agree with you.
You just said you would not take large contributions
me.
because you didn't want to be affected by how people perceived what you were doing.
Exactly.
That's what John is saying.
Right, but that's not the entire
$100,000.
story. The problem with that story is, John, Democrats were worse on the thing.
Oh,
but the Democrats.
I'm not disagreeing. I don't know what the numbers are, Chris. But if they are, I hope John reads their names off.
That's my point.
That's why we need more independence.
Hey, man, baby Jesus.
I don't
Come on, Peterson. Wait, Peterson, bail me out. These guys got $100,000 a pop.
Chris.
Look. It's wrong. They should send the money back.
Thank you.
Let me just, I'll just sort of conclude on a couple points and people can draw their own conclusions. I think data centers have become unpopular because, again, they're ugly and these are public buildings. They're big, they're large, they are visible. If you go out 66 or up or down 28 in Northern Virginia, they're the most visible buildings we have.
Are they what do they look different than a warehouse?
Well, you know what, Governor, I respectfully disagree.
Again, they're not warehouses.
They're bigger than they're a hell of a lot.
I know,
bigger
but they're just like
ugly.
a big warehouse. Look, go
right.
to an Amazon distribution center.
Anyways,
these things are coyote ugly.
But I'll just say that's one. The other,
Paint
I
murals
agree
on the
with John.
side.
I agree with John.
Right.
Frederick.
Where's the graffiti when you need it?
Money does make a difference. It does.
I mean, $100,000 a piece, so
all
we
the
can have
names
our
we said,
children addicted.
there's
So we can
people that are-
addict our children to gambling on their phone. Sitting for a cup of coffee at the Starbucks. I mean, you'd be kidding me.
And by the way, I agree.
Let Chap finish.
I agree with you that the Democrats are probably worse. And in fact, we could go into a lot of donations that have been made to the Democrats by the data center industry. My original bill in 2023 that would have put some guardrails on the data center industry got spiked in the state Senate by my own caucus leadership. Okay. So it's not, I'm trying to propel the Democrats ahead of the Republicans. What I'm saying is both sides can be corrupted by money. It's happened. And I just feel like for data centers, I agree with everybody here.
Has anybody on the panel sat through, has anybody on the panel sat through a town hall meeting where the citizens got up and spoke about the data centers?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Here's the bottom line. 4 things repeat themselves every single time, and I've been to half a dozen of them. Number 1, the fear that their own electric rates are going to increase, maybe skyrocket. Number 2, they don't like the noise that it generates. 3, they're concerned about the environment, to wit, the increased water use. And the last one, and is not as common, is that they are, we all said, ugly. Those 4 things permeate every conversation, and it's some iteration of that. And then weigh all that against the huge amount of money that's being made.
And unfortunately, Joe, it goes beyond that. I was down at Botetourt, and a guy sat there, raised his hand and said, "These things cause cancer. And there's so many data centers in Loudoun County that give us so much heat. It caused the temperature of Washington, D.C. to rise by 10 degrees. There is real information out there. There are real concerns that should be addressed, but people don't want them addressed. They want to be screaming their lungs out about with all this disinformation and misinformation that's floating around online, this catastrophizing everything about this without recognizing what the tangible benefits are to their localities. It's really scary how quickly this thing has turned to be a completely unreasonable discussion when it can be completely reasonable and people can make judgments based on what is actually factual versus what people want it to be factual.
You know, John is supposed to be asking the questions, but, you know,
He's not good at it.
Coach speak, the most important game on the schedule is the next game. So what do you gentlemen think will be the impact on the midterms in Virginia, if any?
Midterm? It's not a big one down at Virginia Beach. That's been mitigated. I don't think it's come up for Rob Whitman's race or John McGuire's race in the 5th, not Vindman's race in the 7th. I think the biggest one that's not being reported right now, Jim, are the spoilers, third-party spoilers on the left for Vindman and Elaine Luria in the 2nd. There are DSA candidates, Democratic Socialist candidates, on the ballot as independents, and that might pull away 2, 3, 4%. To tip those, and it could tip the balance of the Congress.
That's a good point. Last time, the Democrats in the 2nd congressional district, Jen Kiggins, last election, who ran about 5% ahead of President Trump in 2024, but they had a liberal, or excuse me, a conservative running, and that guy, just a fake candidate, got a little over 2% of the vote. Now she still won. But if people, in fact, this guy who's running, who's this leftist guy who's running, if he gets 2%, Chris Saxman's correct. The 2nd congressional district is one of the top 3 or top 5 targeted races in the whole country.
Yeah, and 2 years ago, the candidate who ran to the right of Jen Kiggins was funded by outside money group. I think it was called Save Western Culture, that had an operation to do this all around the country in about 24 races. For pennies on the dollar, they could win elections by having these spoiler candidates out there. It's intentional.
No, they're trying to do.
Don't forget the political climate from the administration. Right here in Henrico County, we have a race between Whitman and Shannon Taylor. And if you just look on paper, it's not even close that Whitman is a superior candidate. Not even close. What he has accomplished in his life and his career in politics. But the existing political climate, anathema towards Trump, is making it a close race.
Yeah.
And if Whitman were to lose, I'm telling you, he's a Republican. I used to be a Democrat. If Whitman loses, Virginia has lost a great talent.
Well, in the position he's in, Joe, that he even if the Republicans don't keep the majority, he'd be the ranking member of the Armed Services Committee. And Virginia is so dependent on federal defense spending, it would be a disaster. One thing that Chap and I are on a group called No Gerrymandering Virginia. We're going to ask these Senate candidates, but more importantly, the congressional candidates to sign a pledge to not gerrymander, not support any scheme to either suspend or remove the independent bipartisan commission that draws up fair maps here in Virginia, because Hakeem Jeffries they're coming back after it. The Democrats in Maryland initially resisted this gerrymandering there. The Democrats did. And there's only one member of Congress up there, but now they've succumbed to the pressure from national Democrats. And I think it's important. And you think of Shannon Taylor and you think of Vindman. These folks were all for this gerrymandering earlier this year. And now they're trying to get the support of people. They were willing to jettison. Shannon Taylor didn't want to be running in the Middle Peninsula and the Northern Neck and these suburbs. They were all going to get subsumed and overtaken by Northern Virginia.
I assume Whitman's going to make that point. I certainly would.
I don't know why he hasn't already.
I don't know why you wouldn't make that point. I would send every person in that county saying, this person didn't want you. They actively tried to get rid of you.
That's right.
And now they want your vote.
Well, the concern I have is voter enthusiasm on the right. Now, hopefully the combination of the DSA emergence in the Democratic Party and the convention down in Dallas will get the base fired up. But, Whitman, I live outside of Richmond. I'm actually in McGuire's district, but we see all the ads against Rob Whitman, and there are a bunch of them. And so far, I haven't seen any response other than a weak ad that Whitman put out. So if the Republicans have all this money, I would tell them start spending some of it.
Hey, gang, just jumping in here, Dan on the mic. We do have a caller, Mark in Chester, who'd like to get on the line. Mark, hey, go ahead. Mark, you there?
Hey, is that you?
Yeah, you're on the air with the Virginia gang.
Hey, I know y'all guys are all over this stuff, but look, I'm from Chester. Within 2 miles of my house, I have a Lego plant going that costs $1 billion. I've got an Amazon plant just down the road and 2 data centers. I really don't give a flying, you know what, about where it goes as long as they properly zone it.
Right.
And most of them, some of these data centers are generating their own power, diesel, and then they take BEPCO as a secondary power source. So proper zoning is the whole problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you can't put a McDonald's right next to another fast food restaurant and expect both of them to thrive. And, you know, there's a certain amount of space. It's just got to be well utilized. That's my point.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe, Petersburg would be ideal. You got all that property on this side of Wagner Road where you're building a casino. There's nothing south of there but property. I'm going to say one more thing, then I'm going to hang up. Brown and Williamson. Look at what happened in Petersburg when Brown and Williamson left. It killed that city.
I'm not quite sure what the point is. I'm all in on that casino. I brought it to Petersburg. Full stop.
I think his overall point was it matters where these things go.
Exactly. I think Mark from Chester understands it, and it's where you locate them.
Yeah. Location.
Yeah. And by the way, whether they use diesel, because these data centers cannot have any interruption of power, no blips, no sags, no surges, no interruptions. They got to have a backup generator. And whether it's diesel or even better, if it were natural gas powering it, would be good. Now, what Virginia's trying to do is tell them that you got to use batteries, which may cost more to use batteries than natural gas or diesel. With it, in fact, back to Virginia's energy policies. They're so awful that they tell these data centers when there's a high demand, say when it's extra cold or extra hot, keep your backup generator going on so you're not a draw on the grid with it. And, you know, in Virginia, they're talking, the current governor said, we want to have more affordability. Well, what have they done? They have jacked up our power bills right off the bat by joining this regional greenhouse gas idiocy, which is going to add 5% to everyone's monthly power bill, have no effect on the weather. It's regressive, and they actually have seen that, and now they're going to give them a rebate on this added carbon tax. It's like running somebody over on the side of the road and paying their medical bills. Well, just don't run them over on the side of the road. Then you don't have to worry about the medical
Governor,
bills.
you're absolutely right.
And lost wages with it. Then they're raising taxes, and that's hardly going to make things more affordable. But they have raised their salaries. Part-time legislators are now going to get $50,000 a year, tripling their salaries. To me, that's the issue in the upcoming legislative races. You've raised my power bill, you raised my taxes, and you raised your own salaries. And you're out there with an audience of folks and say, hey, how many of y'all out there have a part-time job? Does it pay $50,000 a year? They'll say, heck no. And so I think you could get a heck of a good uprising.
I was just going to say, there are third-party ads being run against Rob Whitman, trying to blame him for higher utility bills. And Governor, you're absolutely right. It's not his fault. But I think those ads,
it's the state.
The ads, I think the Whitman campaign needs to respond to those ads because the average person may not understand what's going on.
One of the things that came out in a story today, I think out of the Lynchburg paper, is that there are agricultural hydroponic opportunities to come off these data centers because of the heat they give off. You can commercially convert that to greenhouses and grow and grow a lot of very useful crops. So I think some of the conversations could be changing as the technology gets deployed quicker and more effectively to the market. So, we're in that, I don't know what happened. This country was doing great in the World Cup, and all of a sudden it went to crap because people started going, oh my God, data centers. Like, what the hell? It's amazing how quickly this thing turned.
All right, let me finish on something that's a good bipartisan issue, John. Dolly Parton, who I consider truly was an angel here on earth. What a perfect person. what a great story of her life, her smartness, her shrewdness, her business sense, her generosity, providing education scholarships for employees at Dollywood. Susan and I enjoyed seeing her at Wolf Trap 2016, singing Rocky Top, and all the Vols fans like her. Here's a bipartisan appeal. This was from Lowell, Massachusetts, YouGov, March 2026 poll. Donald Trump was favorable with 3% of Democrats, 77% Republicans. RFK, 60% with Republicans, 10 with Democrats. Elon Musk, 59%. He's probably less now with Republicans, 7 with Democrats. Taylor Swift, 23% popular with Republicans, 53% with Democrats. Barack Obama, 90% Democrats, 14 Republican. Mark Zuckerberg, liked by no one, 8% by Democrats, 13 by Republicans. Joe Biden, 70-5. Dolly Parton, 78% of Democrats had a favorable opinion. 78% and 73% of Republicans had a favorable impression of Dolly Parton. And so, you know, she was someone with kindness, who treated everyone in a fair way, in a kind way, and in a generous way. And I'd like to end the show to some extent in tribute to Dolly Parton and the way that she presented herself. And she was the essence of what you would want in a human being here on earth, with her generosity, her cheerfulness, and her tremendous talent.
Governor, one of the things that was so special about her, in addition to the talent, she, of course, was kind, and you used that word twice. But you know what she did? She walked the walk.
Uh-huh.
She donated literally tens of millions of dollars, and it wasn't done in a, here's a big check. It was done silently and quietly.
Mm-hmm.
So her kindness, her generosity, in my opinion, are even greater than the superior talent that she had.
I would hope that the people of Tennessee would name the Nashville airport after her.
They want to do it in Knoxville. They take exception to Middle Tennessee getting her name. She's from East Tennessee.
And she was an entertainer
They
who
can
was
do
smart
both.
enough to stay out of politics. You know, she
did.
stayed out of the fight.
Yep.
Well, we've come full circle to Chap Peterson. Beauty is what drives people, and she was certainly a beautiful.
Yeah, she had a great line. It takes a lot of money to look this cheap.
Well, she was beautiful inside and out.
That's
key.
funny.
Sure was.
That's funny.
So,
She was funny. She was funny.
She was.
You know, I had to pause once he was doing a skit, and she was 78 years old and was doing a skit as a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader.
That was the best halftime show they've ever had.
Oh
for
my
the
God!
Super Bowl.
I paused it. I reran and I said, I needed to
maybe
look
it's the
again.
Thanksgiving game.
She looked pretty doggone
Yeah, it was
good.
the Thanksgiving Day game. It was by far the best halftime show ever.
I want to know who the 27% Republicans and 22% Democrats who don't like Dolly Parton are.
Exactly. Yeah. Sociopaths. Jeez.
They're
All right,
probably
guys.
in New York City.
Great panel. Next week, I'm going to give you a topic because everybody was on me because I don't give. I'm going to give you a topic. I want to talk about the Redskins Commanders. I want to talk about the petition I've got to let voters here weigh in on their name, ticket prices, the scandal going on here where people are locked out. That's what we're going to talk about next week. Hope to see you guys there. Thank you.
That'll be a popular show. Great idea, John.
Okay,
They'll
but
have a winning weekend.
but
Yeah,
I'm
everybody
off,
have a good weekend.
I'm off
Go
on
Hoos.
Friday, so I'm going to have to move you guys to Wednesday. Next week, Wednesday.
Oof.
Put it on your calendar.
Thanks, man. Good job.
Saxman will make it. We got to go.
Adios.
1,000 people are missing. A federal judge has again blocked President Trump's attempt to guard against fraud in voting by mail. An appeal is expected. It's full speed ahead on building the White House ballroom and security complex.
It's the perfect way to report progress. President Trump with a sneak peek of